told me 6 years ago that the little one-page blog I built would be responsible for generating like 7 figures in sales, I would have never believed.
Okay, welcome everybody. Hey, it is the Sunday show, 7/9/2017, and we have absolutely nothing to talk about. Really, honestly, this has been a really slow week. I know there's been a holiday, obviously, with the 4th of July. Not a lot going on, but Phalo Blue was lonely. She wanted a show today. I was going to cancel, but she talked me into it, so we're going to see how it goes. If anybody wants to come in, the link is in the video description. I got Christopher Mowdy in here. So at least it could be somewhat interesting with 2 people in here. But anybody else, oops, shit. Hey, you know what? They can't even hear me in there. Okay, let me try this again with you guys being able to hear me inside here because I had my mic muted. No. So let me try that again.
Fine. I can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, with the outside feed, they heard me.
I can hear you now. So, I was panicking. I was sweating then.
I do give a little bit of feedback from you. Look, if you can turn on your speakers
me?
a little bit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness. Okay, I'll try. Hang on.
So this is bring your own topic, meaning that, you know, we have nothing else to talk about. So come on in, discuss what you want. I don't care. I'm sure somebody will come in and talk to you about it. But the link is in the video description. So come on in, because right now we only have 2 people in here. Come on, Apologia, Maxwell, Geek Room, get in here. I guess we'll do a brief synopsis of the weekend review. Let's see what happened on some of the shows. The Zoo, Hannah Zuby had her second show, I believe, and she was talking about what was her topic this week? Anybody remember? None of you guys watched it, did you?
I didn't see it.
I know.
This week.
I know. Maddie was talking about objective justification, and Helena Handbasket was talking about.
I should know what Hannah's hangout was because I asked her specifically.
I don't remember. I remember her first one, but what was her second one? And I did watch it. Oh, now I feel bad. I tried to do a review when I did, and I just don't remember, you know. Well, you know, she can come in here and she can give us a recap. But I saw Helena Hangrax that she was doing something on naive realism, which I thought was interesting, but beyond my pay grade. Because I don't really accept naive realism, but I think she does. I don't know. So.
What does it mean to be open-minded was Hannah's hang.
Oh, that's what it was. Thank you. Right. Okay. How could I forget? Because I did watch it. What does it mean to be open-minded? And that was with Ozzy and Sock Account, kind of discussing, you know, what it actually means to be open-minded. I still don't know, by the way. That's the funniest thing about some of these shows that I watch in the Great Debate Network. I don't even know what the hell what they resolved to. Right. I don't know what the final verdict was in half these things. Do you?
No.
Okay, so at least I'm not in the, you know, I'm the same boat as everybody else. At least I'm not like too confused. Yeah, I don't know what they mean by open-minded.
We should watch it. We should watch it, and then we'll know.
We did watch it, but that's again, I don't get a lot of these conversations. I'll admit. When Ozzy, Sokka, there's like 5 or 6 other ones that go in there that I'm just like, okay, this conversation is beyond my limited ability to really understand at this moment. So. And I admit that, though. See, that's the difference between me and somebody who actually has DK. Because I actually looked at a DK chart the other day. It was kind of cool. You actually can see this line. What it is confidence level on the y-axis, and it's experience on the x-axis, right? And so when you first get into like education and you start learning things, your experience is very low. So it goes up very, very little on the x-axis, but it goes up tremendously on the y-axis. So you have this overwhelming confidence. It almost goes like 100% confidence level. So it's just like straight line, almost vertical, right? Just a little bit off the vertical x-axis. And then once you start learning something, you realize you don't know shit, and all of a sudden that confidence level starts decreasing, and it's going down and down. And as your experience grows, your confidence gets really low. So there's a midpoint where you're kind of have some experience, but your confidence is low. That's, I think, where the majority of people in the Great Debate community kind of lie on the average. We have some experience, but we're not trying to come off as experts or anything like that. And then as you become an expert, your confidence grows a little bit. And as you have a great expertise, you're always going to be about like 75% on this graph of your confidence level. You never reach that 100% because you realize, you know what? You don't know shit, even if you know stuff. Do you guys agree?
No, you're 100% wrong.
Of course.
The time.
I try to be. You know what? It's funny. I think I have a 100% rate of lying. That according to some people, I've been told that I'm consistently lying, not just like on a general basis here and there. No, I mean everything that comes out of my mouth is a complete lie, Jim. Why do you like me, Jim? Why? By the way, how you doing, Jim? Are you doing okay?
We're hanging in there,
awesome.
Man. I'm grilling up some bacon, so thought I'd pop in for a minute and say hello, let you all know that I'm not dead.
That's a good. I hear that living beats the alternative of dying, supposedly.
Oh, for sure, man.
I mean,
like I've never died, but I hear it kind of sucks.
I think in the long run it might be okay if you're like Christian, I guess. But if you're not, whatever.
Steve, did you say hear or fear?
I'm sorry, what? Did I say again? ¿Qué es tu pregunta para mí?
Did you say hear or fear?
I don't know. I don't remember. Anything longer than 30 seconds ago, I just don't recall. It's like retrograde amnesia.
There's no point anyway, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm still on my first cup of coffee this morning, okay? But that was like the thing the other day.
I like to look at the past.
What's that, Jim?
I like to look at the past like the Joker does, right? I would prefer it to be multiple choice.
Multiple choice is good. At least you always pick C. If you pick C, most of the time you're going to pass. But yeah, according to
all of the above.
According to some of the people in the Conqueror Posse, it's like anybody who disagrees with them is automatically a liar. I don't know this person. Should I take the chance? I guess I can take the chance if I lower my OBS here.
Who? What name?
Lance Hotchkiss.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar?
You've had some newbies coming in soon, haven't
let me pick up my video, and just in case. So, because we'll see who this person is. Yeah, no, we have a lot of new people coming into the community, thanks to King Crocodile and other people. A lot of people have been joining the Great Debate community. So, Lance, you're new. Who are you? Do you have a mic? Habla inglés.
Oh, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Better?
Sí, yes.
Yeah, we've spoken before. I'm Lance. This is just a different email account I happen to be logged into.
Oh, well, okay. I do know a Lance, so you were that Lance.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw the debate you moderated between I'm not sure if one of them was a Muslim or not, but who is Jesus and is Jesus divine?
Yes. And did you lose brain
I just
cells?
wanted to make a. Well, I mean, it was pretty low in terms of content. I would say like they didn't get much into like any actual substance. It was just, oh, I take this verse to mean this, oh, I take this verse to mean that, and I forget who it was, but there was one person. I just wanted to comment on that. But there was one person who just kept. He was being asked questions, and he kept. Instead of answering the question, he's just like, oh, then what does this mean? Or what do you take this to mean? And kind of asking questions during time. He was supposed to be answering the questions.
Yeah, that was Marshall.
Okay. Well, I would have to say then Marshall it didn't seem like he was ready to debate. He just kind of wanted to, like I felt like he had the weaker debate tactic or weaker position because of his actions there.
Well, I will tell you that he's no longer going to be debating on my channel. I had to kick him out of my after show, and then he was just recently, this morning, matter of fact, like 15 minutes before we started this, he was just going around telling people how bad being gay is, and if you're gay, you're going to hell. And and I'm like, look at Marshall. I tolerate a lot of shit, but some things I don't tolerate is bigotry, sexism, and homophobia. And I'm not even a social justice warrior, right? I'm an anti-social justice warrior, and yet I have enough common sense to know that those things are bullshit, right?
When we talk about gays going to hell, I always ask, why do we stop there?
I mean, I don't understand that. They're like, wait a minute. So I'm like, wait a minute. So it's worse to be gay than it is to be a misogynistic, bigoted, sexist asshole? I don't think so. I just don't. So, I mean, I don't get it.
There's one dude who's actually the moderator of a Facebook group on Facebook. I'm not going to say the name of it because he's the only moderator, and he'll just periodically have live chats where he says, "Come debate me," is the topic of the live chat, and it's basically just him talking to the camera, answering questions that people are commenting, and that's his version of a debate. But he is Catholic, and he had one about how being gay is a disorder, or a mental disorder, and it's abnormal and all this stuff. And
is this 2017?
I couldn't get him to answer my question.
This guy told me, and I'm not even lying.
Let me correct you a little bit on the Catholic thing.
Go ahead.
Just real quick, Catholics don't hold that homosexuality is a mental disorder. Rather, we would say that it is it's not in the right order of how you should be. So it's a funny thing with Catholicism where we use terms that sound the same as everybody else does, but it doesn't necessarily mean the exact same thing.
Well, I got to tell you, this guy Marshall.
Just to clarify,
before we went on air, he actually said to me, "Steve, ha ha ha! If you were here, I would pee on you." Yeah, I swear to God, I'm not making this shit up. I left the hangout, I left the outside chat because I got sick of it. But in Christian's anarchist little chat from the thing he had yesterday, go look. He said, "Steve, if you were here, I'd pee on you."
Like Kincaid.
I thought your hangouts got weird when Red was in here. That's just like a whole new level, man.
Yeah, the guy was just creepy, and I just finally said, no, you're just not coming back. Matter of fact, Wyatt Minkus messaged me saying that he wanted to debate this guy, and I said, not on my channel. He wouldn't answer any questions. He was evasive. He was just duplicitous. I got really negative vibes from him, and now I know why, because he's just a creepy dude.
Kinky vibes.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you want to do golden showers? That's fine. Keep it to yourself, though. I mean, I don't want to think about you peeing on me for some reason.
Well, I was actually listening to the after show, and I couldn't, and then I didn't rewind it, but then you kicked him out, but I couldn't actually hear what he'd said to warrant him for him to be kicked out. What did he say?
It wasn't so much what he said. Here's the thing that I have, and I'm pretty consistent on that. It takes a lot to get kicked out. But when we're having a dialogue, and if you refuse to answer questions and all you do is ask, the conversation's over. And that's what he did in the debate. And so Lance just pointed that out.
Didn't he go racist, or didn't he go...
That's right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, exactly. You are right. The final straw was that he accused somebody of being racist. It was the general, matter of fact, General Han Solo. And there was nothing racist at all what General said. Nothing at all. And I was like, you know what? No, if you're going to play this persecution porn and call people racist, either apologize or get the fuck out. And he wouldn't apologize.
Yeah.
You gotta love it when they start blaming random shit.
And I got a lot of sock accounts in the live chat of my own. HTC is my sock account, just FYI. That's me. So when he says smart things, attribute it to me.
Well, hey, I can't stay, but I just wanted to pop in, say hi to everybody, let you know I'm still alive and that I love you.
All right, thank you, Jim. Yeah, come on, let us know, what's happening with you, and come on back anytime.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the situation that I told you about goes, we can just say so far so good. No one's died yet.
That's good.
So
yeah. As long as that caveat yet, I'm cool.
Right. Well, it's only a matter of time, right? Eventually, one way.
Oh yeah. I mean, sorry, Jim, but eventually we all got to go. Yeah.
Except me. I plan on living forever.
I wouldn't want. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that would suck?
All right.
Later, Jim. No, I wouldn't want to imagine living forever. If you were immortal, and I mean completely, absolutely immortal, can you imagine what it would be like when the universe is just like a sea of photons or a heat death, and you spend eternity in absolute nothingness? No, that would suck.
Yeah, after humanity is gone, you wouldn't have the internet anymore and video games to entertain you. You'd just be floating around in the vacuum of space
which
forever,
basically is
that'd
hell.
be kind of boring.
Yeah, that's hell. No computer. That's hell.
Pretty freaking cold too.
Yeah.
It would be like that. Do you remember the?
I almost find it fallacious to say, kind of boring. Under exaggeration.
It would be very boring.
You mean there'd be they would be
way more boring than that.
Yeah. Hey,
way more boring than just a little.
hey, Paul, you had dropped into Godless Engineers 10,000 sub, by the way, but you didn't stay very long. I was actually kind of surprised.
Well, my internet dropped, and then by the time it came, it'll drop for a couple minutes. By the time it came back, he can only have 10 people in his chats, and it was full. So,
Why don't you tell me? I would have dropped for you.
So I just
you were invited.
I sent him love letters on the side. I was actually invited. That's right. Yeah, you're a crasher.
Yeah, I was Crasher. You were actually invited. He loves you more than me. Oh, my stock account HTC is looking for you, Apologia. Which means its Hogtie will magically appear here in a matter of moments, I have a feeling. Within a minute, probably.
All right.
Yeah, I think he's talking to you.
Well, my very important thing that I need to address right now, because it's crucial to you, Steve.
You're pregnant. I got you pregnant?
Let's say,
Good.
just say
Thank God.
hypothetically that a crocodile could talk. Hypothetically.
Uh-huh.
Which way would the jaws move? So when a crocodile eats, the jaws go up, but I also see video where the jaws go down. So do we have any biologists in the room who or should they both go up and down?
All I know is about a crocodile is that the bite pressure is tremendous, but they have no lift pressure. That's why you can put them you can actually hold their snout together, right? Because they have very little ability to move their mouth open, but to shut it, their clamp pressure is very high. That's all I know.
That's all upper jaw, right?
Yeah, that's all upper jaw.
Their bottom jaw doesn't actually move.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm not too sure. Now I do have a crocodile expert, believe it or not. We got experts for everything. Who's our croc? Oh, yes. No. What's his name?
King Crocodile.
No. Somebody who actually studies crocodiles. You know what? I'll give you his name in a second here. I will try to invite him, actually.
Are you going to tell me King Crocodile is not the crocodile expert? That'll shatter my dreams.
There's a crocodile expert here? I don't
yeah, we got things for everything, man. I collect everybody, so that's the great thing about the Great Debate community.
You do, actually. You have a good collection of people. You really do.
It's
you can buy my stream. You collect me.
I am a collector. I'm a collector.
We are a menagerie. That's all we are.
You are my menagerie, exactly. Eclectic, I like to call it. Okay.
Is that like that Star Trek episode with the guy that collects weird oddities from the galaxy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why Steve prefers us all take our clothes off as well. That's what he said.
No, there's different reasons for that.
Damn it.
The Guardians of the Galaxy, doesn't he collect? And the guy that collects
Howard
the Duck.
Yeah.
So you are the Howard the Duck guy.
Steve looks a little like Benicio del Toro. That could work.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My computer's running too slow.
Oh, you don't. That's okay, Steve. I'm trying to get together this video for you. So
Yeah, I asked our special friend about a high res picture, but I haven't gotten back to me yet.
I found 1,000 by 1,000 on the web, so that's probably as good as I'll get.
Yeah, that's not too bad. What is his? Oh my goodness.
That's good. I didn't mean to grind.
Yeah, but now I'm pissed off. I hate. What's his name? Come on, he studies bird evolution, and one of his main things is studying crocodiles. We've had him on the show a couple times. He's from Facebook.
No clue.
He's from Facebook. Doesn't narrow anything down.
Well, it does to people that people would recognize him from the group.
Do you guys know Bill Ludlow at all?
Yeah, Bill Ludlow. Yes.
Ludlow, right?
Yeah, Bill Ludlow has a debate with Hogan on the 13th.
Well, he just got banned from a bunch of creationist groups this morning, and on Facebook actually, and I'm trying to figure out what he did.
That I don't know. But I am hosting his debate on the 13th. He is debating Kent. However, I've kind of given him my personal point of view on what, because he wants to do this. He wanted to do this 30-minute long presentation, and I told him, look, that's not really going to work because nobody's going to sit and watch 30 minutes of Hovind bloviate, because we all know his presentations are just crap, right? He doesn't have one.
Boring.
Yeah, boring.
Well, Hovind doesn't even want to give him anymore. Like, he wants everyone else to go first so that his opening comment could just be a Gish Gallop rebuttal.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. He wants him to go first because he can also, if he needs to, clip that out of his own feed, which he did with like King Crocodile. He actually took off the entire opening statement.
Yes, he did. I noticed that this morning. Yeah, no, Bill should totally. It should go straight into question, like they asking each other questions. Right,
and that's what I said as well. And Bill doesn't really want to do it that way. He wants to do a presentation, and I kind of can explain to Bill, look, people have done presentations before. This is nothing new to Hovind and anybody else watching. They want the engagement. They want to see a back and forth, and they want to see Hovind basically get stumped, kind of. That's what they want to see. Let's be realistic.
Blood drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a gladiator arena at that point.
You've got to change up the debate format. It's like, just make it different to how other people have seen it in the past. It's got to be different. You've got to modernise it. People want to see that back and forth.
Right.
Are there people that take
first of all, we've all seen...
I'm sorry, Ronick, your mic is pretty low. Ronick? Your mic was pretty low.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, I was just wondering if there's anyone that takes Kent Hovind seriously.
Well, yeah, there are people that do take him seriously. That's the problem. He has a compound full of people to take people seriously. But, you know, Paul just took off. Hey, well, he's on the phone. But, yeah, somebody's going to have to talk to Bill and explain to him that I don't really think that the presentation method is going to work. But I'll try to get a hold of him again before the actual debate. Because I don't think people are going to sit through a presentations. It's not that kind of debate format, right? If you want to do a presentation format, evolution is not the topic to really do one on. Oh, look at Matty. He's getting a head rub. That's just so cute. That's styling. Chilling on a Sunday, you know, getting a head rub. So, Heretic One, what have you been up to? Fill us in for your week.
Not a whole lot. I'm recuperating from. I've been busy the last 2 weekends, busy as hell. So I've sort of been taking it easy this week. I was in Ottawa for the big Happy Canada Day last weekend. And that was kind of crazy.
So you were basically promoting your nationalism.
Yeah, we didn't even do a show this week because I was too tired, and one of my co-hosts had a friend pass away unexpectedly, so we just decided, yeah, you know what, we'll just not do that.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was her roommate's boyfriend, so she was friends with them too, and then she's got to deal with her roommate having to go through that as well, so...
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, but it does. And I was really tired because we didn't even get home until about 1 a.m. Monday morning, so... And
you're up today. Yeah. Usually, this is when you're actually sleeping. You usually don't get up till like noon.
I am. You know what? And it's fortuitous because my mother texted at... I slept through the text. She texted at like 9:45 in the morning. I was like, what the hell are you doing? But, hey, we want to come drop by this afternoon. So they just left. So yeah, I actually was getting up for you anyway, but...
Oh, that's sweet. And I actually have you been noticing I've been sending you the link directly? Have you been getting it?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, through your G+. Or I usually do it on Facebook, but today I did it on G+, so if you actually look, I actually sent it to you directly.
You would have loved it, though, when my mother's like, oh, we want to come by this afternoon. I'm like, well, I have a show at 3, so it has to be before then.
Are you doing a show later on today?
No, this one.
Oh, this one. Oh, okay, yeah. I usually do it later, but Thalo wanted to go to sleep tonight, and she's like, Steve, please do it at noon. And you know, I can't say no to her because she has boobs.
Don't blame me.
I mean, I hate the fact it's weird. You know, it's like I'm playing the boob card. Okay, fine, I'll do the show at noon. It's still not right, but what are you gonna do? You can't say no.
Listen, you'll be doing this hangout in about 7 hours, so I'll see you in the morning when I wake up.
Oh God, no. My last one was like 7 hours. Not gonna happen again. That was exhausting. And 3 hours of that was talking to Edgar. Losing brain cells. I was just dying. I mean, I mean, God, Edgar's so nice, but Jesus, he's just so incompetent.
Well,
and he's in the live feed.
chat
I know he is.
as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, people are like, "Oh, Steve, you're talking behind people's backs." No, you know what's funny? I actually had somebody the other day. I kid you not, said, "Oh, well, Steve, you moderated the debate, then you go around talking behind Kent Hovind's back." I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, I made it very clear to Hovind the very first couple times I've talked to him. I don't agree with him. He's been to my channel. You know, we've had conversations. I have videos on him. He knows where I stand. He's only asked that I'm impartial doing moderation, and he's actually been very happy with the moderation. His secretary's been very happy. He's felt he's got equal time. What else is there, right? I mean, I don't have to agree with him, but I certainly don't. I'm not going to stop being negative toward him because I don't like what he stands for. But that's fine. I'm not.
It's interesting you were saying that he edited part of that debate, because I was talking to my co-host and she's followed Hovind for years. And she said, you know, tell Steve to be careful because Hovind will edit his videos.
Oh, yeah,
if he
I know
has
that.
rights to them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We already know that. We're well aware. Like I said, the first one where he actually edited out or just didn't show the opening statement from KC, you know, it says all we need to know.
Yeah.
But the problem we're running into now is Bill wants to have a presentation. I've explained to Bill, look, it will not show on his feed.
Yeah.
His audience are not going to see your presentation. And plus, you can't hear very well. Have you been to Kent's channel, listened to the debates? You can't hear KC and I very much.
It would have to be a longer format.
Yeah.
To fit in a 30-minute presentation.
I caught the end of the last one. We were in the hotel in Ottawa, but I popped it on. I caught the last like 20 minutes of it.
Yeah, he doesn't. He wants to be the center, right? He wants to be the loud person in the room, obviously, and he doesn't really optimize for other people in the conversation. And I think it's a little bit duplicitous, but what are you going to do? I mean, it's Kent. But hey, Hogtie, by the way, Paul had a phone call, so he had to go. Sorry, you're late.
Do you think he's coming back?
I do not have any idea in the world.
Well, pester him. Pester him.
My psychic abilities are not what they used to be, my friend. You know?
Yeah.
No, actually, that's not true. I do have some pretty good psychic abilities. I've been predicting stuff. Just real quick, I actually predicted, and it came true, that after some period of time where I said, "Hey, look, I have all these new sock accounts because of Flat Earth being blocked in live chat and Ronnie and everything else. So now I have a bunch of sock accounts." That Ronnie's going to say retroactively, "Oh, look, Steve has all these sock accounts, and he's had those all along." And guess what he said the other day? And as soon as he said that, somebody in the live chat, peer review goes, "Holy shit, Steve, you were dead on that one." I said, "I motherfucking told you so." You know?
Yeah.
It was so predictable. So I am psychic, but go ahead.
His sense of revisionism, he's a funny fellow. I mean, people accuse him of lying an awful lot. And I think on a lot of occasions that he says something that isn't true and is obviously transparently not true. It might not be lying. I think he sometimes just mentally convinces himself of certain things being true. I'll pick as an example something that's like a judgment call that's not really that much of a judgment call, like when he's lately been calling out as a dishonest person, and she tries this and she attempts that, and she's all this scheming sort of a person. That's not it's a judgment call, but it's not a judgment that a reasonable person would come to. And I think he does. I don't think he's lying when he assessment of her. I think it still qualifies as false witness because you're to take a lot more care when you say bad things about people, and he doesn't do so. But giving him credit, well, that's not credit. I think he honestly believes it. I think some of the things he said.
I tend to agree with you on that.
Do you think that he sat down and went, "Well, I know Steve didn't really have those sock accounts in the past, but somehow strategically it's better for me if I tell people he did have them, so I'm going to go ahead and lie." No,
I don't. I think he just actually is delusional enough to actually rewrite history in his head. No, I use the word lie loosely here because, again, if he actually believes this, then technically it wouldn't really be so much of a lie, I guess. I mean, you can call it what you want. I like to reserve the word lie for willful lies, but in this particular case, I don't know either way. But I'm perfectly fine saying that he probably isn't aware of his own, sneakiness, and his brain kind of just tells him it's okay, whatever. But I mean, it's a mental state. It's definitely a mental
he has
state.
always thought, but he has always thought that you've had socks. Because when it was the dumb blank of the year,
You can say fucking here.
and you said,
Say it. Say
and
fuck.
you
Come on,
said-
do it. Lou, say fuck.
No,
Come
I
on.
can't say it.
Heretic woman,
can't
can you say fuck for her? A surrogate?
Fuck.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's your surrogate. She's your surrogate fucker.
Yeah, woo-hoo.
She's the pitch fucker.
She's your pinch fucker. There you go.
Stunt fuck.
Yeah, stunt fuck.
Stunt fuck.
Wait,
This is not a family-friendly show,
Does the
people.
other girl have to do it?
You know.
I can't say it. But what was that? And now I've actually lost my train. No. Here we go. True has always thought that you've had socks because you have always advocated for people to use socks to upvote dumb blank of the year.
Correct.
So therefore you have multiple socks. So therefore you're guilty. You have socks.
But I only had one
socks.
stock account at that time, and I showed everybody
You
what
did,
it was.
I
It
know,
was Dostastic
exactly.
Dialectics.
But he doesn't believe but he wouldn't believe that though.
No, I know he wouldn't.
believe that.
Yeah, I know. And then I got STD Kane, and then I just made up a whole bunch of fucking. I got blocked every 2 seconds in these flat Earth discussions, especially like Rum and Coke night. And so I just have a bunch of things like why you're scared of Steve McRae, Flatty McFlatface, just a bunch of flat Earth fucking names, right?
Yeah.
And I'll show them to you. I don't care, but I got a lot of sock accounts now because of that. But Ronnie is retroactively
Right, but that's proved him right now. He's correct.
Exactly.
You had them all along.
Yeah, because I time traveled and and retroactively had them back back when.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a lying fuckface. What
He
can I
was
say?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like he had this video the other day. The sad that he had, and he's just telling everybody, of course, how everybody is a liar except for him, and. He really was saying that how he's corrected everybody again. He loves to throw out the one or two things that he's gotten partly correct. And I mean that very sincerely. When I say I don't think Ronnie has corrected anybody on anything, I really do mean that, of any significance. He's may have got some partial things correct, but he's never really had anything where he was absolutely right on in a big controversial issue. For example, like when I was wrong about the sublimation, I put my foot down. I was like, hey, you know what? I may be wrong on this, but I'm going to stick by my guns and go with it. And of course, Hogtie showed that I was wrong. Okay, great. I'm wrong. He's never been right in those situations, though, ever. And even on that whole Robertsonian translocation stuff causing Down syndrome, I'm sorry, I do disagree with Hogtie a little bit on this. He wasn't right. He was like partially correct. It's like saying, what's the cause of malaria? Mosquitoes. Well, no, it's the plasmodium parasite, right? But to him it's like, no, mosquitoes cause malaria. Well, no, it's a secondary source. It's a vector, but it's one of those nuanced type things, right? So when he's talking about this whole Robertsonian translocation, it's not a direct cause. It can lead to it. And I think you give him far too much credit, Hogtie.
I don't think you and I disagree that much about it. I think that he wasn't exactly right in what he said, but the specific claim, like the one that I was standing up and saying, no, let's not try to paint over this, is he saying that a sentence I said was wrong, and in my view, it was precisely wrong. Like if you say that Robertsonian translocations don't cause Down syndrome, because to say that there's just no such thing as a Robertsonian translocation caused Down syndrome case. That's not true. There's as we discussed a number of times before, but there's a very small subset of specific Robertsonian translocations that account for about 4.5% of the Down syndrome
but
cases.
In the second generation,
most of the rest are. The person that has the translocation, that's unbalanced translocation, doesn't have Downs.
Yeah,
it's actually
it's the next generation.
In the next generation, right?
See, I wouldn't word it that way. Maybe that's just
me.
me.
If because my statement was that Robertsonian translocations don't cause Down syndrome, that actually wasn't my statement, but I was saying that that's not what causes it. That it's really only the non-disjunction, chromosomal non-disjunction that causes Down syndrome. That statement's precisely incorrect. Where Ronnie is flat out wrong about it, and we just haven't really made an issue out of it, was this was a discussion. See, he keeps playing that clip of the thing that I said. That's wrong, and I'm just saying, yeah, okay, well, that was wrong. Now my understanding of it has improved, but the thing that he's doing that is both wrong, factually wrong, and is also expressly and obviously dishonest, is that the discussion we were having, the thing that he picks those couple sentences of what I said, he pulls that out. And it is an example of dishonest editing, because remember the theme here, who cares, we're not just talking about Robertsonian translocations or about Down syndrome. The issue that we were discussing, and the issue that he has discussed literally dozens of times since then, is who's right and who's wrong, who's correcting who's always just standing there and just, no, I'm right, that other guy's wrong. That's the topic. And the thing that we were discussing, I've gone back and counted, there were 11 things in the discussion that we were having. There were 11 things that we pointed out that Ronnie had gotten wrong in his video. And we were just amazed, well, not amazed because it's not surprising, that's his rhythm. He gets so many things wrong in one little short thing. And we were just listing, and we listed 11 things that he was wrong about. One of the things that we listed was the Down syndrome, you know, and I'd said, oh no, that's not what causes it, whereas of course there is a subset that's caused by that. This is the other 10 things. He's very careful to edit it so that he doesn't mention that the context for my comment was, isn't it amazing that he's wrong about all these things, and additionally he's wrong about this other detail, right? So he doesn't include that, and where he is still wrong about it is the fact that what we were discussing was unbalanced Robertsonian we were discussing balanced Robertsonian translocations.
Originally,
he's raising an example of an unbalanced Robertsonian translocation. What his statement was that when a Robertsonian translocation happens, you get death, you get cancer, you get birth defects, and he's simply wrong about that. Yes, it does happen sometimes. Sometimes you get death, sometimes you get cancers, sometimes you get birth defects in subsequent generations. But he's wrong to say that when you have a Robertsonian translocation, these bad things happen, because there are such a thing as balanced Robertsonian translocations, and that's what we were talking about. So my point here is that he'll take that whole discussion about this idea that you know, we say he's wrong about stuff, but we're just always wrong. Every time we point out that he's made a mistake, been wrong, we have never once corrected him, even on a single small detail.
Yeah,
never once corrected him.
And we Hannah had asked him that. Hannah had actually asked him, "Hey, Ronnie, what have you been wrong on?"
Yeah.
Name two things.
Name two things you've been wrong on, and he can't answer that.
Can't answer that.
As a matter of fact, actually, I heard that part. Sorry, and he lied about that. So I just want to make this point, just because I know I talked for this. So I want to really make this point clear. In a discussion where he says he's never been corrected on something, and he has to correct other people all the time, the only way he can make that claim have legs at all is to dishonestly edit a clip where he pulls out one little example of somebody saying something where it was a mistaken correction to him. And he has to very carefully cut out the rest of the discussion where we listed the other 10 things that he was wrong about. And sorry, what was the thing you just said about name two things you were wrong about? I cannot believe this. He literally, I mean, you could ask me that question, and I would have to just, I would go back years of just how many things I've been corrected on, little things.
Oh, I think we all could. But I think they're more minor things, right? I mean,
yeah.
But even the mistake that you made with the Robertsonian translocation, I put in the very minor category. I'm sorry, it's not like it's a major. It doesn't say, oh, look at Hogtie, he has a fundamental misunderstanding of the topic, right? That's not what it means. We all.
Right.
I mean, I understand. I understand heat transfer and fluid theory and all that stuff. I took it, but I fucked up with sublimation. It happens, right? At least in this particular case.
Yeah, it's not like I don't know what Robertsonian translocation is. I mean, certainly there's other people who know a lot more about it than I do, but it's not like I have such a fundamental misunderstanding about it as Ronnie does. I mean, he certainly knows it better than I would say the average person. I don't mean.
Well, only because he's read into it now. But when you first brought it up, he did not know what a translocation was, and he kept on saying that all Robertsonian translocations, even balanced ones, have health problems, all of them, regardless. If you have a Robertsonian translocation, you're going to die or have cancer or whatever. And even after you, Fiona, Sam, Drag, God knows how many other people explain to him, no, he won't accept that, and that's a fundamental flaw in his thinking.
Well, here's a fundamental one, and I don't really fault people who don't understand this. I fault people who don't understand it, then shoot their mouths off about it, like Ronnie. If you think that the way a balanced Robertsonian translocation, or even something like, let's go specifically with the chromosome merging, right? So fusion of chromosomes. If you think that this works, is if there's a man out there somewhere that has this translocation, or this fusion. We're using the example human chromosome 2 fusion. The only way that this will ever propagate through a population is if there's a man that has it, and at the same time there's a nearby woman who also has exactly the same translocation, and then the two of them meet each other and fall in love and share. And then all of their kids will have that. If that's how you think it works, you have a fundamental misunderstanding about Robertsonian translocations overall, fusion specifically, and how they propagate in a population. And I don't fault people for not understanding it. I fault people like Ronnie who will not understand it and shoot their mouth off about it.
Well, yeah, and Ronnie will never go, hey, can you explain this to me, to somebody. He won't ever go and say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you help me get a hold of this? And I think that's probably his biggest issue, is that we have so many people that do know these topics and that we go to all the time. God knows that's how I learn stuff. I say, hey, I don't really get this. Can you explain this to me? And somebody's like, oh, yeah, sure. But he has never done that. And to say that he has never been corrected on anything, that shows me of somebody of a mindset that is incapable of learning. If you can't be wrong, you can't learn.
Well, actually, even the revisionism, real quick on the revision, because I remembered what it was. You said that Hannah had asked him in the chat there, name 2 things that you've been corrected on. Name 2 things you've been wrong about that you went, oh, cool, I learned something new. He simply cannot do that. And he, for a second, went, time he said something like, well, I suppose that time I accidentally called something by the wrong name. And then he said his example was, so he was talking about a proteolipid, and he said, I think I called it Dalton proteolipid, which is funny because that's actually what it's called, and that's not what he called it. His mistake was to call it the 16 ADK. He thought the name of it was the 16 ADK proteolipid. Right. And I've used this example before, so I'll be quick about it. But it's like not understanding what kilodaltons are, and sort of how this is used to categorize these different things is such a fundamental misunderstanding. It would compare to if we were talking about cars, and I owned a Honda Civic or whatever, and I had a vehicle that on the sticker it had that it got 30 miles per gallon. I was telling you about this car, and instead of referring to it as a Civic or a Probe or whatever, I referred to it as the 30 GMP or whatever. I mixed up the letters in some way. It would reveal that I don't understand
30 MPG. The MPG Dodge. The 30 MPG Dodge.
Yeah, but I was trying to mix up the letters. So it's MPG is how it normally. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you said if you switch it around. So if you said, so let's say I own a Ford 30 PMG. That would reveal that I don't understand how cars are named, and I don't understand what the miles per gallon, what that rating actually means. But he comes back and he retells it. In fact, in his retelling of the story, he even said, well, that would be like me knowing somebody like a family member or cousin or something, he said, and just forgetting his name or mixing up his name for a moment and then having you guys say, I don't know him. No, it's nothing like that at all, because it wasn't like he said, oh, I said Clint and I meant Cliff.
Yeah, well.
I've known him since he was a baby. Right. This is something he was unfamiliar with. He's unfamiliar with how these things are named or how they're measured or how they're classified or categorized. He doesn't know any of that stuff. And it wasn't just that he called it by the wrong name once and then corrected himself or accepted correction immediately. It was he persisted in calling it the 1680K for a long time. And then when it was pointed out to him that that was kind of a funny and weird gaffe, he then went on for a period of time where he lied about what happened. He said that it was like he just called it by the wrong name, and then and I corrected myself, and they're still harping on about it. And just real quick, I'll say one more thing. If he thinks that we go through his videos and we look for things, like any little example of misspeaking, and this is what he says. He says, we go through his videos looking for example of misspeaking.
I never.
He made a video 4 months ago where he said that ATP is an enzyme. Those are his words. ATP is an enzyme. And not a single person picked up on it. And the reason, and people know, they noticed it, but they didn't pick up on it in the way that, I'm going to produce a video and show that he said this crazy thing. Because in the context of what he was saying, it was clear that he had just stumbled over his words and he'd misspoken. And everybody went, yeah, we know what he means.
That's a minor thing. I wouldn't have made a video for that. If he just said ATP is an enzyme, I would have been like, I know what he means. He's talking about ATP synthase. But
if he went on about it for weeks, if he went up and said, like, can you believe that Fiona doesn't know that ATP is an enzyme? Boy, how dumb is Fiona that she doesn't know that ATP is an enzyme, because ATP is obviously an enzyme. He didn't do that.
But
he has done it with DNA water.
But I did make a video. The only reason I made a video on him, when he said ATP synthase was not an enzyme, right, to Jake Herder, that's when I made a video, because he was basically telling Jake, you're an idiot. Oh, Jake, ATP synthase, it's not an enzyme. And Jake's like, no, it's an enzyme. No, it's not. No, it's an enzyme. That's when I was like, wait a minute, this is funny. But he would have said, if he would have said, oh, ATP is an enzyme, I would have been like, I know what he means. He's wrong, but he's just confused the two. Not a big deal. So I don't look for myopic shit to harp on. That's
well,
stupid.
He's got a very dark view of other people. I noticed that one of the things that he'd mentioned was our discussion earlier in the week on TST. The question, I said, so when he was talking about single transduction, now remember, so Sam had responded to some of the mistakes that True Empiricism had made. So then True Empiricism held a little loner hangout on his drama channel there, where he complained about this thing Sam had written, and he got to the part where Sam had like the 5 numbered points, and I think the second or the third on Sam's points was about how it's not it's not being electricity, right? It's not electricity. And then Sam, True Empiricism goes off on this thing about how, well, Sam clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, because obviously it is electricity, and he's giving Sam a correction that's wrong, because it's not electricity. Chemical propagation is a totally different thing. Yes, there's a wave of electrical potentials involved, and it's an important point, but whatever. He went off in this nonsense correction, and then he went, well, it's clear that Sam doesn't know. I don't even see any point in reading any more of this, because it's clear that Sam doesn't know what he's talking about. That's an example of going into what somebody else has posted or said and looking for what you think is a mistake. In this case, Ronnie was wrong about it, but then saying, well, now I can discard everything that this person's written because I disagree with some interpretation I'm making of this individual point. So we were discussing that, and in that discussion I said, okay, so Ronnie came back and he addressed it. People were asking him questions from the live chat. I said, how do you guys think he did? Description of how signal transduction actually works. And people went, oh, yeah, well, I think he was reading. I think he got it right, but he might have been reading. And I said, no, I think he's got that stuff memorized. And everyone went, yeah, he did a pretty good job. So not a negative word was said about it. You know what I mean? Like when I asked the question, well, how do you think he did with that? So yeah, he's actually got his description was pretty good of that. So now fast forward to his last little whiner hangout here, where he says, oh yeah, they were talking about this, and you notice that none of them could say that I had the basic information right. I don't know, 3 of us said it pretty plainly.
Well, when he's reading from a script, sure.
Dark impression of people.
Yeah, I mean, he's reading verbatim. He's basically the kind of guy to go look something up and then, oh, I know about this now, and go rattle it off. But here's the funniest thing. The other day in that hangout, I had asked him, and people in the live chat would remember, I wanted to make it very clear to him. I'm like, okay, you keep saying this proteolipid, the C ring, 10 to 14 different subunits. What ATPase are you talking about? And he actually said he's talking about FTPases found in human mitochondria. And I'm like, wait a minute here. No, you're confusing again the same mistake that you made with Sam. And I knew that he was doing that, because he loves to ramble off. At every conversation you have with him, he's like, oh, well, the 10 to 14 different subunits of the C ring. Well, what does that got to do with the FTPases? Oh, and he's in the live chat. Oh, that's not right. No, that's a troll. Never mind. Sorry, wrong guy. But yeah, I thought that was really odd that he kept saying that, and the proteolipid isn't in the FTPases. It's in I think it's in the what, VATPases?
Don't know.
Yeah, they don't call it a the proteolipid is in the VATPases. But yeah, the whole discounting, what everybody knows because of one minor thing. I think he's looking for that, right? He wants to be able to say, oh, look, Fiona made a small gaffe, ergo she shouldn't have her PhD. Or look at Hogtie, he made a small gaffe, he's not that bright. I think he looks for things to do that, rather than what we do is we show that he doubles and triples and quadruples downs on things that we know are completely wrong.
Yeah. And he does so while accusing everybody else of doing the same thing, whereas everybody's actually exceedingly generous to sort of grant him credit for what understanding he does have, and to be charitable in our interpretation of what he says. So when he says something wrong, but we think he understands the basic underlying material. We don't pounce on word choice or mistakes in speech. But that's exactly what he does.
Well, I see, but I give him too much credit. I don't ever think he understands it. I just think he just rambles. I think he just gets something, he'll throw it out there, but I don't think he conceptually understands any of this. I really don't. Yeah, Fiona says that 16 kilodalton proteolipid is found in VATPases. Yeah, and I was asking him, where do you find the 16 kDa proteolipid? Where do you find these 10 to 15, 14 different subunits? He's like, no, in FTPases. And I'm like, no, it's you're talking about the wrong molecule.
Yeah, I think he'd be wrong about that, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't.
No, the 16 kDa
really call him out on it because I don't.
It's not found in the FTPases. It's 10 different. I think it's 10 subunits. In the FTPases found in our mitochondria, I believe it's 10 units, subunits. What, Mike?
Oh, I was saying about how you're saying he doesn't understand these things. A perfect example is back when he was talking about dissolving sugar and dissolving salt in water.
Yeah, he fundamentally didn't get those concepts. Completely didn't understand the difference between covalent and ionic bonds.
Yeah, the molecule of salt stays together, but the molecules disperse while the salt molecule breaks down.
I had asked a person during Godless Engineer had a 10,000 subscriber hangout the other day, and there was a person in there that was taught biology and obviously had a background in genetics. And so I asked her the same question. I was like, look, we have a guy who maintains that if you take DNA, you stick it in water, it immediately falls apart like tissue papers. The monomers break apart, the nucleotide sequences get destroyed, and then when you remove the water, it gets reconstituted, and you can do a PCR reaction. She said, what? She's like, no. She's like, no. And I was like, so it doesn't degrade in water? She's like, no. Oh, she's like, maybe over a long period of time, but yeah, it doesn't degrade and dissolve are two utterly different things. And we're like, yeah, okay. So he doesn't get it. He still doesn't understand that.
Yeah. You know what? One of the indications there too, you notice he won't talk about it anymore. It doesn't matter what persuasion the person is who asks him. He's had fellow evangelicals come and ask him the question, and he said atheists ask him the question. So can you just tell us like what your position really is on this DNA falling apart in water thing? And he won't answer the question. His only answer now is, I've been proven right about that. Fiona had to admit that I've been 100% right in everything I've been saying all along.
That is so cock and
if
fucking
you say, okay,
bullshit,
what
though.
were we right about? So he knows he hasn't got a grasp on it.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that when he starts talking to about the, sugars versus salts, I was just picking up on Mike's point here. He says at one point, he says something about, well, if you put in, it won't fall apart into its individual sodiums and chlorides and just these gibberish phrases.
Remember we were talking about lying, Hot Tie? Okay. It's one thing to say, oh, well, I was always proven right. That's bad enough. Now, but it is an outright, bold-faced, 100% lie, right from the pit of hell, when he says, oh, Fiona agreed with me. Because Fiona never agreed with him. Ever. Yeah,
that he knows he's lying.
That's pure bullshit. He knows he's lying on that one. There's no way he can ever mentally get into a state where he can justify that delusion. My mind's, I was high and I thought that. No, he actually knows he's lying. I have no doubt about it.
To segue slightly, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just making a stupid joke about him tuning his guitar every time.
I will add, if someone is perma-fucked, it is not an excuse.
Yeah. Oh, it's not meant to offer an excuse. And I'm not saying he's not a liar. I'm saying that there are occasions that people accuse him of lying.
Right.
Where
oh, he does lie. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, he does.
I try to give a little bit of credit that maybe sometimes he's not actually willfully lying. He's just deluding himself into actually believing it. I'm okay with that.
Which is a separate problem. I tell you what, I don't know how much. I know it's too easy to get into a big Trump discussion here if somebody ever mentions Trump. But one thing I noticed the last while, Trump had made he was answering a question for a reporter a little while ago. I made a post about this. I won't go on about it length here, but I made a post about this within the last week where Trump had answered a question about what the hell was it about now? But anyway, in his response, he said to this reporter, I know what it was, about whether or not communities of the world agree that the Russians, that is not Russian people, the Russian government is actually tinkering with democratic elections in various countries around the world. And he was saying, well, about that, and by the way, he slips in this little observation, at first they were reporting that it was 17 different intelligence agencies But now you had to say, well, do we even have that many? And after some very heavy research, he says, I've done some very heavy. I don't know what he means by that. I've done some very heavy research into it, and he says it's maybe 3 or 4. I find a weird statement right there, because if you say it's maybe 3 or 4, well, look, if you did some heavy research into it and it's the CIA and it's CSIS and it's MI6, well, that's 3. That's not 3 or 4, right? But whatever. He says, I've done some heavy research into it, it's maybe 3 or 4. And a lot of your people, referring to these reporters, have had to do some correcting in their reporting, and they've apologized. They've had to apologize for that. And I find that a really interesting and familiar conversational trick to say, well, look, you're being asked about the evidence for this idea that the Russians have been tinkering in this stuff. And instead of answering the question about the evidence, you say, well, people used to say that 17 agencies agreed that that was happening, but it turns out it's probably only 3 agencies. And the media was wrong about that, and they've apologized for being wrong about that. Or really, are any of those things true? Was it 17? Is it now 3? Corrections? Did they really publish apologies for saying these things? But it's very Ronnie-like in the way of saying,
well, I think Trump, well, I don't think Trump lies
Fiona
all the time.
Fiona had to admit.
I was going to say real quick,
that's a dishonest conversational trick.
Yeah, but I think Trump actually deludes himself. I think it's the same thing though. Trump, I don't want to say he's always lying. I think he actually believes this stuff because of his narcissism and other stuff. I think he doesn't really realize he's lying. But he does have a lot of falsehoods. Yeah. Let's be realistic.
Yeah. Well, I'm just making that connection, and I'm not really even commenting on true empiricism or on Trump or something. It's just it's a conversational thing that I'm just sort of drawing attention to. I find it so weird when somebody says, "Oh well, here's my proof that I'm right in my position," because there was a person who said I was wrong about it, and they admitted they were wrong and they apologized for it. Well, what difference would that make? And it's not even true.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, because it gives them a higher stature. It's like, oh, look, I proved the smartest people in the community wrong. No, you didn't, Ronnie. You never have, ever. And I mean that very sincerely. Again, minor points don't really count. Oh, it's going to rain tomorrow. Oh, look, it didn't rain. Look, they're wrong. Yeah, we don't give a shit about that. The bigger points, the conceptual points, Ronnie has always been wrong on. Fundamentally flawed from the get-go. And that's, I think, needs to be the takeaway. But like the other day, I kept asking him, like, hey, you keep going to like saying that Sean is your go-to guy, and one thing I do know from experience is that in the Navy, electronics technicians do not work with the water chemistry. They learn a little bit about basic water chemistry. Everybody's cross-trained, sure, but you never actually do anything with the water chemistry as an ET. The machinist mates take care of that because you have to work with the piping. You have certain piping, and you have to use that piping in order to get the chemicals in. And the special type of MBMs that do that are called ELTs, Engineering Laboratory Technicians, which I wasn't. I was a machinist mate, but I wasn't an ELT. But we still had to know what the ELTs did. Again, cross-rated. But he said he taught water chemistry. And I'm like, there's no way in the world that an electronic technician would be teaching water chemistry because he didn't ever work with the water chemistry. And yet, it's like, Ronnie, why did you go validate this?
To the uptake. Oh, by the way, if Apologia, if he's still around, I mean, I'll have to chat with him for a moment. But yeah, I know that's another, again, this dishonesty and the. But
that's something I know for a fact, right? Because that's something I have an area that I know that I worked with, right? So from personal experience, I know Sean's lying. I know he's lying.
Well, Sean says he taught water chemistry. Sean says he used to be a scientist, and true empiricism has no problem repeating that because that's certainly true, right? There's no need to question that. You can question that Fiona actually has a PhD. You can question that Fiona was ever a scientist, or that Fiona knows what she's talking about. But you can, he can sit there and rail on about how, oh well, Steve's all upset because Sean actually does have a higher education, and Sean's got a really advanced degree in this stuff and used to teach this stuff, and blah blah blah. And it's just the hypocrisy. That's what I was looking for. The hypocrisy. Just
Apology is back. How to apology?
Well, why don't you guys go ahead? Why don't you guys do something else for a moment? He's back. When he's back, I'll chat with him.
Apology, come on in. ATC wants to talk to you. He says he misses you.
In a few minutes, you guys.
Oh, no, I just I wrapped that up. Like I said, anybody can go validate. Anybody can go to Wikipedia and see that the machinist mates and the ELTs are the ones who do water chemistry, and that's why I don't think Ronnie cares about the truth, because he can go validate that Sean's full of shit. I mean, first of all, you only really teach one one topic in nuke school, and it's as an officer that does it, and he wasn't an officer. He also claimed he taught physics, and I'm like, yo, so wait a minute, you taught physics and you taught water chemistry? No, you're electronics tech. It would have made a lot more sense if you said, well, I taught electronics. Okay, fine, but you're not going to teach physics as an electronics tech either. It's no, the physics instructors have degrees in physics. Yeah, so I mean, he's just completely bullshitting from the get-go. So I don't even know if he even graduated at this point. I know he went to nuke school. There's no possible way he could have known what he knew without going to nuke school. But did he graduate? I have no idea anymore. I used to think so, but I'm very skeptical at this point. But anyways, Paul's here if you want to have a one-on-one.
Well, how long are you around for, Paul? Because I was actually going to step away for a few minutes and.
I can. No, I'm working on a video for Steve, so I got all day.
It's not porn. Just FYI, it's not porn.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
There are a lot of people here very courteously listening to Steve and I are familiar back and forth, and but I do. Yeah, I was mostly going to say, good video, but I have a couple more observations about that. Well, let some other people yak for a bit.
Go ahead. Who wants to talk? This is a bring on topic.
I'll just wait.
Go ahead. Who wants to talk?
I just wanted to say a little. I did want to say a little hello to Steve McQuack out in the live chat.
Yeah, McQuack's back, by the way. By the way, I've enlarged the fonts, and I've enlarged so people can actually read the chat. So it's not like this little.
No, that looks good. The chat looks good.
Yeah, so I like that. It's easily legible. So if he wants to fucking use caps, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, he's out there. He's trying to get my attention, so I'm saying hello to him.
A lot of guys have been trying to get your attention lately.
Not really. Well, a few, maybe.
Yeah, a few. Okay, a few.
Let's see what he says after that now.
Who else we haven't spoken with? Who wants to add some stuff? Should we bring in Rational Theist? I mean, he's been sitting quiet for a change. Matt, you've been awfully quiet. That's scary. Are you not feeling well? How's your health, Matt?
My health is okay. I'm all good. Okay. I just don't participate in those science shit stuff.
You don't sound good. You sound like you're dying. Could just be your connection.
We're all dying, just some of us are dying happier than others.
And faster. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Who else we got in here?
Photo looks amazing.
What photo looks amazing?
A profile picture. You haven't checked it out.
Yeah, no, I see it. Yeah, it's okay.
You want to train there, Matt? Where are you going on that photo?
I like to have fun.
Huh? Are you wanting to compliment your picture, Matt?
Amazing. It's awesome.
Those are lovely glasses.
Lovely.
They're not old glasses.
Compliment my natural beauty tremendously.
Yeah, but see, Paul did his.
What train were you on there, Matt?
I was in a train to Glasgow.
Oh, okay, cool.
Paul, you drew your own icon, right, Paul?
That because
yes, I drew my own icon and all my guests, including PZ.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you on that one. I was like, damn, that was pretty good. You actually captured PZ pretty well. And I think, by the way, I gotta admit, PZ did a really good job on that video. Congratulations. I mean, he nailed that.
Yeah, I know.
He nailed it. Wow.
I was wondering if he was, he seemed to have lost some steam on it, but once you start hearing Ken's voice slamming you personally, you kind of get riled up.
Yeah, he's not a big fan, obviously. So who else we got? Anyone else want to chime in? Who's been quiet?
I didn't understand a thing you said for the last 10 minutes, so.
And this is unusual because.
Oh.
Fiona, feel better.
I'm
Go ahead. What?
So relevant to my world, then, if you're gonna leave it all empty.
Go nuts.
Yesterday was the Ark Encounter's birthday.
Ooh.
It's been what, 1 year or 2 years?
Did anyone show up?
Well, Hammond met the friendly atheist.
Cool.
He had a bit of a rally, anti-one birthday rally there. He gave a little speech.
Nice.
But it's funny because Ken went on a video on, I guess it was on Saturday. Yeah, it was yesterday. And you know, and proudly announced that he had 1 million. There's been 1 million the first year, which is
okay.
But I don't. Of a year ago, where he was probably announcing they would have 2.2 million. So I'm probably going to be
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he was expecting a lot more than that.
Yeah, so it was half of his expectations.
Yeah.
But and see that again, I don't know if he actually believes his expectations. He may have just been throwing numbers out for the hell of it.
Well, he's throwing them in for investors.
Doesn't mean he actually has to believe it.
No,
he had to give a good story in order to get all of that federal funding or state funding. I forget which.
Neither. He got tax breaks, but the funding was from crowdsourcing.
But the point was that he got whatever help he got by claiming he was going to bring all this business into the area, and you know it was going to be a boon to the local economy, and it's been absolutely nothing like that.
Well, the local economy is stunk even worse than it was before. I've seen an
I believe
where it said the county is essentially going broke,
bankrupt.
They're going bankrupt because they're not getting any money from them.
Yeah.
They've started kicking people out who are anti-Christian, who are recording and stuff. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, they started cracking down a little bit. Yeah.
I had not heard that.
And Ken Ham made a statement where he basically blamed the atheists for detracting visitors from it.
Well, no shit.
I did see that, but I did not see that
Thunderlord did a great video covering, or Thunderfoot.
What did Thunderlord? What did he think was going to happen? Atheists were going to stand by and go, "Oh yeah, this is great. Yes, this." No, of course they're gonna diss it. I mean, I'm not even atheist and I diss it. So.
And let you fleece this county for $100 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's enough video. I mean, wouldn't you think that somebody's going to take video now that's more detractory than what was taken the day it opened when they were letting atheists in for free?
That's shit, right?
Well, actually, that guy got a hold of me. The guy who got kicked out, like who took all that footage that actually got a hold of me yesterday, so I may have him on my show. But
he should. Yeah, he did. I liked his video.
Were they really letting atheists in for free the first day?
They day that it wasn't the official opening day. I think it was the first normal day when they had the big protest.
And Eric Hogan paid for them. Yeah.
Eric Hogan approached the protesters and said, "Who wants to go in? I'll pay for you to go in," because a lot of them were saying, "We're not going to go in because we're not going to give you any money." And I guess his gripe was that they were criticizing it without actually having seen it. So he said, "Hey, I'll pay for you," and a bunch of them took him up on it.
So wait, Ken Ham would even give him a free pass? He made Eric pay for it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's pretty fucked up. That's pretty fucked up. It's not like it's costing him any money, right? He's not losing any money if you just give him a free pass, right? It's not costing them anything. It's our fixed cost there. But yeah, that makes no sense.
I know. And that's where, I mean, Tracy Moody probably had the best known video at that time.
That seems like it was just a way to actually embezzle money, kind of.
Well, no, it wasn't embezzlement. I mean, he was
$20 to go see a bunch of stuffed animals.
It definitely wasn't embezzlement.
Like putting it in without people noticing that he's actually like putting it into the company.
Well, he did. He put $100 million into it. But see, the problem is he didn't put a dime of his own money. He made money off of it regardless. It could be a complete failure. He'll make money.
Yeah.
And then a year from now or two, he's going to start a new project, right? He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care.
You guys heard his new thing that he's doing, right?
Yeah, well, I know he's doing
Very
something
Trumpian
new,
of him.
but I don't remember what his new project is.
Yeah, with the park, like initially, they were trying to say it was for profit. Start taxing him like 50 cents per ticket sale.
Yes.
Say, oh no, we're a religious organization, blah blah blah, trying to not pay money. Like no. On the books, you're a for-profit organization.
That's right.
Change that without a lot of money invested in that.
No, but he's played both of those cards with the employee discrimination. Like he's getting away with the you have to sign the statement of faith. So, for example, employers aren't allowed to have sex. That's actually one of the things they sign.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
For a lot of people, it's kind of hypocritical, don't you think?
Yeah.
Kind of explains why they only have ugly people working there. Yeah. I did not say that. Sorry, I did not say that. I didn't say that.
But honestly, like
nobody intends.
Even if they're married.
You've got to think that sex on the Ark is, got to be on some bucket list for some people.
Yeah.
I don't think I couldn't get an erection on that thing. I just couldn't do it, no matter what. So, I mean, at my age, I can't get an erection anyways. But still, whatever.
Wouldn't that mannequin of Noah's wife must be really hot? Come on.
You know somebody's touched her inappropriately, right? At some point.
Yeah.
A little fondling going on after dark. Yeah, come on. Animatronics for a win.
Honest. When I think of that arc, I want to do one thing. I would pay a fare if I was allowed to take 2 of every animal and actually try to fit them in.
Yeah.
It'd be an awesome experiment. You wouldn't get very far.
No. Look, you have to take 2 of every kind. You see.
Yes.
No, that's incorrect. You have to take 2 of every kind that then existed, not that currently exists.
Yeah, but see, how come Ken Ham or any of them have never given us a list of how many kinds that would be? A breakdown. I've never seen one. Have you guys ever seen a breakdown? I mean,
I've heard it's about 1,500
kinds.
No,
yeah.
They'd
all be very small kinds, very small. Yeah.
I've heard them throw out numbers like 8,000, 9,000, whatever kinds, but which of wit? 9,000 kinds have all of a sudden they've speciated in 6,000 years to 8 million species. I don't see how that would work.
By magic.
Elephant kind.
Magic.
Elephant kind has like 30. Yeah, mammoths, mastodons, Asian, Indian, African. Well, Asian and Indian, I guess, are kind of the same thing, aren't they? African elephant. Are the Asian and Indian? It's the same thing. Hogtie.
They don't breed, so
they're biologically capable of breeding, but they don't, right? If I remember correctly.
They don't use the same definition of species.
Well, it doesn't matter. They can use any definitions they want. But you still have to account for the fact that you have, let's say, 9,000 kinds. You need to show how 9,000 things got to 8.7 species, whatever you want to call them, groups that cannot breed with each other. You can call them anything you want. Names are irrelevant. But how do you get to these groups that cannot interbreed over 6,000 years?
Yeah, and it's of course 9,000 types of animals that would live longer than a year, that would not fuck during that year, that would not poop during that year.
No procreation.
Not drink during that year.
Right.
The 9,000 figure from.
Oh, I think that some creationists have said. I think the number that I've heard is somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000 kinds they throw out, or something like that.
I doubt that's the case.
I don't know. I've heard something along those lines. But if you get if you get an official source, go for it. If somebody wants to see what is their official numbers, it's hard to get answers from them. You can't really get a direct answer. What's that, Heavy? What, Heavy? Heavy.
Which time period is the ark supposed to have which time period is the flood supposed to have happened on in like geological time period? Which one would it be?
Young Earth essays took place about 4,200 to 4,500 years ago.
No, but they call it the Jurassic. They think the KT boundary is
4,000 years goes to Jurassic.
Oh no! What I was saying was, don't forget all the dinosaur kinds, which we are still discovering.
That's only one kind, Heavy. Be real.
It's the dinosaur.
But that can't be right because he's got more than one pair of dinosaurs in there.
That's just.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. He's got 3 or 4 different.
No, I think these
dinosaurs.
guys.
They're just little baby sauropods.
Can we just agree that there is no end to this cycle?
Yeah.
There is.
I mean, look at We have here a zoo without one live animal in a boat that doesn't float.
Yeah, it seems a little strange, don't it?
They do have a petting zoo.
Before it got off the ground.
They do have a petting zoo that they bring inside once a day. So
wow.
Ooh. Wow.
Who did this? Somebody did a great video.
It's not the right kind of wood.
What? How time?
Somebody did a great video. I think it was Paul Hartley did a video just on the ventilation system, right? Just on the other permits they had to get, and the ventilation system, and you know.
Modeled after Noah's original ventilation system, of course.
Yeah, that was Noah's original design. He had central AC. Don't you know that?
Yeah.
So basically, if they turned off all those ACs, things would die in there. People would die.
Oh yeah, you couldn't. I mean, honestly, if they had one cat and a litter box in that thing, the whole place would just reek. You couldn't go in there.
It would just be horrific.
I mean, it's made of wood, for fuck's sake.
But you take all these things. It's not just one thing that makes the story so absurd. It's a combination of everything together. That I look at people that actually buy into this. I'm like, how dumb are you? I know it's a religious thing, but there's a point where you have to say, okay, this is not a matter of faith. This is a matter of just pure basic biology, science, whatever, demonstrate that it's complete wrong. Now, there's a difference between somebody saying, look, I believe in the resurrection because, you know, I have faith. Okay, I get that. Whatever. I totally do understand that. Because, you know, we've never seen anybody come back from the dead. But there's nothing in the Bible that says God miraculously made the ark or made the animals, you know, in the ark live 100 years and survive in there. No, there's no miracle going on. Which not even be a miracle, because some of the fact is logistics. You couldn't have that many animals in that ark. And by the way, I got a super chat, Matthew Duncan. What is the creationist explanation of how we went from 1,000 to 2,000 quote-unquote kinds to the present amount of variability we have in nature, magic, or evolution? I think it's higher than that for the kinds, though. I think it's, like I said, I think it's
Todd Wood. Todd Wood, who's a doctor who is the leading Liberty University guy on baraminology, he calls it hypervariation. I literally think that God had pre-programmed this hypervariation into those ones that were on the ark, and they literally, like, every baby in their litter was different.
Yeah, but like, see, but Wood disagrees with, like, Tompkins, right? He does not agree with Tompkins' analysis on human chromosome 2. He actually says he actually thinks there's a chromosomal fusion. I talked to him.
That's correct.
Yeah, I actually corresponded with him, but he won't come on to actually defend anything. He won't defend Tompkins. He won't defend his own stuff. He actually says that there's evidence for evolution. We do see a lot of evidence for evolution, but he explains it away by, well, God made it appear that way, kind of thing. But he still can't explain baraminology. He just can't do it.
No, but that was the best attempt I'd ever seen. Was at least someone acknowledged that there had to be, you know, some level of variation that was shorter than the generation.
Yeah, well, it's not even just hyperspeciation. I had somebody the other day posit that not just one speciation event in a generation for something like a mammal, but 2 speciations in a single generation. Wrap your head around that, because I don't know what that means. I don't even know what is that. How do you have 2 speciation events in a single generation? That's like saying, okay.
What happened is after that first generation, they reproduced asexually, creating a second generation.
Mammals asexually reproducing.
Or like, what is it? They had twins, and one of the kids was another species, and the other of the kids was another.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
species.
you basically two humans get together, and they have a donkey and a rat as kids.
That is the Todd Wood model.
Yeah.
Oh, good grief!
But they thought this was perfectly fine.
Ain't gonna explain shit.
That thing about the super speciation or whatever programmed into the DNA and all that, wouldn't there be evidence of that in the DNA? Unless it was pre-programmed to shoot. What's that word?
De-evolve. Yeah, just falls out somehow.
Or something.
Yeah. Genetic entropy.
And all the speciation events that happened, there would be evidence of that in the DNA.
Well, why aren't they speciation those rates happen today? How come we don't see every other generation? We should see a speciation event for everything. We don't.
If God can program it to go fast, God can program it to slow down again. Would be the thinking, would be the escape that I can think of.
Well, that would work for a lot of things. I know, like just, you know, the whole where did all the water come from? Where did the water go? I mean, they could. I don't know why they bother. I asked Nephilim Free this question actually about 7 years ago when he got into his thing with Thunderfoot over the hilarious lunar bukkake theory, and I just said, why do you even get into it with him? Like, why argue with Thunderfoot about the physics? Why not just if God wanted there to be like that much water and like for water to shoot out and freeze into ice and pelt the moon, well then you know what? There'd be that much water and there'd be water shooting out and pelting the moon. That's just how God works. He really resists that, though. He says that no, he thinks that God could put things in so that at the right time it would all collapse and whatnot. Hey, can I encourage other people in the room too to sort of self-muting, because what I'm hearing
I can hear it as background too.
Yeah, every time there's some background noise from somebody, sometimes Google flips over the microphone so that we can't hear, like somebody will be talking, and then as soon as they draw a breath, then they drop out and it's all choppy and stuff. So the more you self-mute, I mean unmute when you're talking, obviously, but then self-mute whenever you're not, because otherwise it just makes everything all choppy.
Yeah, especially if people are on an Android phone. If you talk while they're talking, it cuts them out. Or if you hear it in background noise, it'll cut them out. Yeah, sorry this is kind of like a not very exciting show, people. Again, it's been a really slow week, so this is the best you got. Deal with it. But we still have like 60 people watching, which is pretty good. And I'd like to welcome all the new people that have been joining the Great Debate and coming into the Hangouts and watching them. A lot of them have been watching for a while, but they decided to start jumping in. And that's great, so we do like that. Just to give you guys an update, the webpage is coming along. It's actually being built right now on a different domain, and that'll be transferred over to the greatdebatecommunity.com. It's going to be using WordPress. We're going with the Great Mag, I believe, theme. It's going to have everybody that's in the Great Debate Network, that they're going to have the channels on the front, and so whoever the last episode was, it's going to be right there. Everybody's going to have the ability to have a little blog. It's going to have the you know, it's going to be a cool page. And then separate to that on the site, it's going to be wiki.greatdebatecommunity.com or greatdebatecommunity.com/wiki. We haven't started yet. And the wiki will be uploaded there as well. We'll keep the original we have, but I don't know how long that one can last. But the other one's going to be bigger and better. So just want to give you an update on that. It's coming along. It takes a long time. The guy that is doing this for us is putting a lot of work in this, the web guy. So
I do have a thing that's kind of in a different direction, though, that I'd like to add, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a member. Yeah, and I just posted it in the Great Debate community. I'm a member of the Atheists Helping the Homeless. It's down in Charlotte. I live up in India. Month, and have things, toiletries, clothing, snacks, banana and fruit, things like that for the homeless people. There's a homeless shelter not too far from where we set up. I've been there doing it for the past 3 months, a month. Now, it was started by Joe Zemecki in Austin, Texas, back in, y'all may have heard of this man, I think. He's been on the Atheist Experience as well. I think he was one of the co-hosts or something. Groups, you know, across the United States that have started their own chapters that do this. And, you know, you hear about, you can be good without God. And when I found out about this group, I'm like, it's fantastic. You know, this gives people that are atheists a chance to kind of reach out to members in the community and help them out. This has been pretty good. We've got about, 5 or 6 long tables set up with all this stuff. And most of it's toiletries, things that we take for granted that a lot of the homeless people can't get, like toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouthwash, shampoo, just all kind of things, you know, like that. The coolest things I think I've ever been in, because I didn't know there were atheist groups out there doing things like this to help other people. So if you go to the GDC, you'll see my post, and there's links to our group. There's a link to the history of it, and a few other links. But recently, our chapter has joined with the Atheist Alliance of America, and now we're a 501c. We have a 501c thing where donations are tax deductible. So it's growing, you know, slowly over time. neatest thing. It really
So
is.
you guys started
So
your own
there's-
religion? No, I'm just kidding. That's cool. That's awesome.
It was started last March in 2016 by Shane Hammett and A. Alvarez. They started it, so they've been going for just over a year, and it's slowly grown, to where people contribute so much. I mean, there's clothing that people have donated for these guys and homeless women as well. They cater to their needs too for stuff.
Just a point, I've got an interesting argument on my profile page that when an atheist says they can be good without God, they're begging the question.
You know what, Matt?
You don't, but other people, you're not the only person that's listening.
Here I am trying to tell something, some good that people doing, and you're going to come in and throw in a little jibe.
Listen, I'm tired of hearing you promoting yourself so-called charity thing once a month, as if the homeless people can survive on once a month charity.
Well, it's
Christian charities do it every day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year, non-stop.
Yeah, actually, the charitable. That's not true.
Any help towards people who are in need is welcome from whatever source it might be. The homeless kind of support, and it doesn't matter what the source is it's coming from. When you made the statement, you heard about being good without God.
I can be good without God. It's not begging the question.
Begging the question.
Yeah, hey, theist, rational theist. I can tell you right now, I can be good without God, and it's not begging the question. So you're wrong. There you go. I mean, that's it. I'm not begging the question because I have no premises. I'm not drawing a conclusion. I'm making a statement. The statement is, I can be good without God. That's a fact.
Is the question or not? People are helping each other.
Exactly.
That's what I just said. That's what I just said 2 minutes ago. Listen.
That's exactly right, and I'm agreeing. Take yes for an answer, Matt. Take yes for an answer.
Just said.
Humans helping humans is a good thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you that, Maddie. I agree with you, and I'm wondering, should and I respect the organizations that are helping things, right? I respect the Christian organizations that are helping people. I respect the atheist organizations that are helping people, and I'm not. This is not dissing either of those groups, but shouldn't it really boil down to, like you said, Maddie, people helping people? Why do we need to do it by religious affiliation or non-religious affiliation?
You're doing.
I mean, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, what does it say that we have?
I mean, Matt has the point that Matt has that is valid is that secular versions of helping are literally catching up to the religious versions of helping, right? Charity has not monopolized in a bad way by Christian organizations, but Christian organizations are the brunt organizations that are providing charity. You can point to the Gates Foundation and stuff like that, but on an everyday basis, it's mostly happening. Soup kitchens are mostly occurring at churches, and that's fine and well. And secular versions of it are literally playing catch up. So that's the point that Matt is making.
And then that's true. But Maddie,
what's the percentage
but hang on,
of people that are secular, though?
But hang on, Maddie, what's more altruistic? What's more altruistic? A soup kitchen that says, "Look, we're going to feed you if you come and listen to God's message," or an atheist group says, "Here's a sandwich. There's no string attached whatsoever." What is more altruistic from a purely straight up point of view?
Listen, I walked in.
Well, I didn't ask you, Matt. I asked Maddie. Maddie, what do you think is more altruistic? But I didn't ask you. I asked somebody else. Let them answer, and then you can chime in. Okay. So let me ask the person I asked is directed question. So I'm asking a directed question. Maddie, what is more altruistic to you in that situation?
I don't know what is more altruistic. I don't think that's a very good question. I think that it's good no matter what.
See, I disagree. I think it is a great question.
Let's follow it back. Heavy is involved in something that he wants to promote. It was interrupted by a pointing out that
it's finished.
By Matt pointing out that he had.
I have something to add when I get a chance.
A post about that atheists can be good without God.
No, when someone says
a disconnect from the point that
He was
Heavy
very
was making.
disjunctive.
And Heavy has
Yeah.
more to say.
Heavy mentioned in his statement, you've heard about being good without God. In his statement. So I never diverged from what was involved in the statement made by him, and I found that interesting.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But Matt, you're wrong on that.
people,
you can be good without God. That's so you're just.
There are people that think you can be good without God without begging the question.
Yes.
And I got an argument.
We don't care.
Argument that says you can.
I don't really care.
But it doesn't matter. We're not talking about
we're
your
not,
argument.
Yeah, exactly.
Son.
That's exactly.
Sit down.
Yeah, we're not talking about your argument.
Sit down.
That's why, Dad.
Yeah.
That's why, Dad. That topic from the promotion.
All right, so we're gonna go back to Heavy, because I don't want to derail what Heavy was trying to say, because it was a lot more important than what Matt is. It's a lot more important than what Matt wants to do. Yeah, Matt, you have one person watching you in your hangouts because you can blow V8 and people can watch you, but you don't get to you don't get to dictate what's being talked about in my hangouts, Matt. Okay, so it's going to go back to Heavy. You're Matt. Listen to me, Matt. Listen to me carefully. Matt, listen to me carefully. Okay. I didn't mean to. You're not going to deal with the conversation. Go back to Heavy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to add a little to that. When you look at how many churches there are, like down in a major city, you've got what four churches almost within walking distance or bicycle distance. They're everywhere. How many atheist groups are out there like that? Of us around, we're not tied to a great big central thing, you know, a religion, or we don't have churches. We don't have. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. You know how the churches.
Yeah, you know,
no, I'm not done. Damn it, I am not done. Now, two organizations called the church, which they have the resources to do this stuff 24/7. Atheists don't. We don't have this kind of organization, and I hope it does. But what we can do, we're going to try and attempt to do with what resources we have.
Yeah, you don't have the fund. You don't have the funding. Yeah. The atheist organizations don't have the same funding as these large religious organizations where people, donate. And I, from what I understand, most of the and people can go validate this, but most of the Christian and religious charities have some of the highest overhead. Is that not true?
I was about to bring that point up. Yeah, I think people should when they donate, they should be.
Hang on, Matt. Matt, you need to stop interrupting people. Obviously, Hogtie was talking.
I started speaking before Hogtie. If you turn your fucking ears on.
Well, you know what, Rational? I don't care. So this is not. Yeah. So go ahead, Hogtie.
Of course not.
Yeah, I don't. I don't, Matt. Matt, I don't care. Shut up, Hogtie. Go.
Fucking Torah dipshit.
Yeah, that's why you have. Yeah, Matt. Shut up. Go ahead, Hogtie.
I will say, as I hear, you understand, I'm in a different country, right? So when I hear Heavy Heller describe that this is a group of atheists working towards this good, and there's some focus placed on the fact that these are non-believers who are doing this, and in a way illustrating that you can be good without God. This is a position that they're trying to communicate to the people around them. There is a large part of me that kind of winces a little bit in the sense that is it really charity then when you say, well, we can sort of help these people? And I don't mean, Heavy Holler, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm saying that as an outsider listening to it, this is the one thing that concerns me when I see atheist groups that do charitable work. It's a quid pro quo then. It's, yeah, we'll feed these people, but we want to get some benefit from this. We want to be able to get this message out there that this is what's going on. But it's a catch-22 because there's no good way around this, right? You can either say, oh, well, those religious nutters can say what they're going to say, and we're just going to go ahead and actually help people and don't ever draw attention to the fact that we're helping people, right? Or you can say, well, I'm kind of tired of hearing this about us because we're actually out there helping people. It's a lose-lose situation because it's both sides of it have poor political optics. On the one hand, you're not seen to be doing good. On the other hand, you're seen to be doing good, but only because you're trying to draw attention to a social message that you're propagating.
Well, that's my point, though.
It's a bit of a catch-22.
If you're drawing,
you've got to sort of walk a fine line there. And all I'm saying is, when I hear it, I sometimes kind of think like, it's too bad that that's the way they go about it, because the way it should be, collectively look and say, those people are hungry, or those people need medicine, or those kids over there could do with school breakfast so they learn better in school, or those people need drug rehabilitation assistance, or whatever. Identify the need, and then say, how do we best go about the need? And one thing you can do is look at charitable organizations that address those things. Don't look at their mission statement. but instead look at what their overhead is. See which of those groups are collecting your money to deliver it in ways that are beneficial to the people that you desire to help. And then give to those organizations, or better still, give your time to it and contribute in that way. You know,
but wasn't that exactly my point, though, that I said to Mowdy? It wasn't exactly my point. Whenever you have organizations that have a social message.
You opened your mic before I did. Yeah, you opened your mic before I did. That's
oh, okay. But you're agreeing with me then. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good.
I do. And again, I don't mean to sort of say like, oh, it's too bad that these guys are doing this, because I sort of get
I
where
don't
it comes
either.
from.
No,
That's why I
yeah,
know
not a bad thing.
I'm in a different place, and I understand.
Right.
This is what atheists in that part of the country have to do, and I find that situation additionally sad. That is, in addition to the fact that there are people that are hungry, and we need to have ways of dealing with it.
And I agree. I totally agree with that.
Could I add one more thing?
Yes.
I keep saying
Heavy,
that.
Yes. Yes, Evie, go ahead.
We're not promoting anything. We're just out there to help. We have a little sign with our name, and when people come up, we are not trying to talk to them about atheism. We're not trying to talk to them about religion. The only thing we're telling to them is help yourself.
Okay, well, let me ask you one question then. Do you turn away people that hold religious beliefs, that believe in supernatural bullshit that you don't? Okay, then you're better than 95%. So when Matt makes the claim that Christian charity is 24/7, 52 weeks a year, right there. You know what? When you said that, Matt, when you said, "Oh, Christian charity is 24/7, 52 weeks per year," if this were a game of chess, I would actually let you take that move back. Because what Christian charities do, by and large, there are many exceptions, but by and large, they collect money for the purpose. The mission is to spread the gospel message. Incidentally, if they can do that by giving someone a sandwich,
exactly,
then that's fine. But you would have to admit, Matt, not necessarily your view of Christianity. I know you have a much more rigorous gospel, or scriptural view. But you know that there are Christian organizations out there that identify as Christian, where their mission is to deliver the gospel message, and if a sandwich gets coupled with that incidentally, then that's great. But you also know that they turn away people from housing assistance and all the other types of assistance they provide because those people aren't buying into certain tenets of Christianity.
Go ahead, Matt.
That might be a true statement in the country you live in. It's not a true statement in the UK. Yeah, I worked with the homeless people. Drug addicts, recovering alcoholics, homeless people, etc., etc. And the way the gospel, and that was within a Christian organisation, and the way the gospel was preached was in the care given to them.
Yeah.
There was never a Bible taken out. There was never the gospel of Jesus. It was preached through the actions of the people trying to deliver that help, working in cooperation with housing associations, housing for these people, to try and get the issues and problems that they had. Any services that were held within the building, the community, it was voluntary attendance. Voluntary attendance, no compulsory attendance to get your food, your shelter, your clothing, your rebates, your counselling, your referral to housing associations. Yeah, you go ahead and talk about how you think it is, and maybe it is that way in Canada or America.
No,
that's not the way. That's not the way it's worked here.
Right. Well, that was my point, Matt. And as I said, I think your view of Christian charity, you specifically, and then your country also, and my country, we do have a couple of exceptions here, but there's places like Hope Mission where you need help. We work with people, and we wish the government would help more. So I agree with that, and I applaud that. But what that means is when I'm trying to explain why heavy haulers in a place where this does get to be an issue, you and I and heavy hauler have a common enemy in this, and that's the people who put a cross on their door and wave their Bible around and purport to be charities, and they get tax exemptions, and people who donate to them are tax exempt, and they're not providing the type of charity that you describe as Christian charity.
And Hawkeye, anyway, let me ask you, because there was a recent case, there was a recent situation where a religious organization denied donation because it came from atheists. Do you remember that situation?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have an atheist organization, if that atheist organization would say, you're a Christian organization, we can't take your money, I would be just as much livid. But I would expect an atheist or organization to say, you know what, we don't care where the money comes from. Sure, you know what, you're helping us, we're going to be helping the poor. But let me ask Heavy, does your organization, if a Christian says, hey, we want to donate to you guys, would you be okay with that, or you say, no, you're Christian, we can't take your money?
Oh, I think I think it would be awesome. See, the thing is about the way it works, we don't really get monetary donations that much at all, really. Most of what we get is what we ourselves buy, or what people may have, like clothing, used clothing, or shoes or something, you know, or they'll go out maybe to a dollar store or something and buy a whole lot of stuff. You can get bulk stuff on Amazon, like razors and stuff.
And have you going to have to F5 your roboting a little bit?
We're not taking in money and then spending it back out again. Also,
I'll tell you, your robotic, your robotic, you're going to have to F5. We can't hear you. Can you hear?
It's coming through clear for me now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I think you got it now.
Okay.
Yeah, his was terrible for mine too.
Yeah,
it was good until that point. It's familiar.
Yeah, I was hearing it.
One quick point. Years ago, I was unemployed for a while, and the one time I went to a church for help, they said no.
Wow.
Is that better, y'all?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
What are we supposed to learn from that?
I'll try to.
What's that supposed to tell us about the general situation? Nothing.
Well, that's pretty shitty.
Those guys were assholes. Those guys were assholes.
You know, it was about one individual situation for which there's a million examples of human beings who have went to Christian charities and churches and have received positive response and help and assistance. Of course, you're going to have negative. You're going to have examples. You're going to have examples of negative experiences. Like Hogtie said, there are some churches who are doing it purely for evangelization purposes, but there are some churches who are going to determine who they give help to based on their gender or their sexual orientation.
Can I ask you a question?
But those aren't the majority.
Never said they were.
Can I ask you a real question?
You just did.
What motivation for a good person to do bad things if there is no God? What is the motivation?
There
are a lot of people in religion that are very convinced that they are doing the right thing. Very convinced of this. He talked out of it no matter what, that they are doing the right thing, and that they are actually kind and loving.
Yeah. On Christianity,
I don't know what the hell that question actually meant, by the way.
On Christianity, there are no good people. There's only bad people.
I was trying to finish the question, but he's trying to answer it before I was done.
I don't think he understood your question, because I didn't understand your question.
Well, the question is simple. In religion, a lot of good people are going to do good things, but there are a lot of people that are going to be convinced to do some really evil things.
In the name of religion. In the name of religion.
These good people, when religion, would they have done those evil things if they had not thought they were good?
If you're referring to Christianity, you've got a very poor understanding of Christianity. On Christianity, there are only bad people. There are no good people. There's bad people.
I think that's Calvinist.
That's saved. There are bad people.
That's Calvinist, really.
There are bad people who don't get saved.
Even Calvinists, even if you're elect, you're a bad person.
Wow, that's...
I'm saying in your actions. I don't give a shit what your God says. I'm saying
don't ask about
action.
Why ask about what a theistic religion believes in if you're not interested what the theistic
let's get back
religion
back on
teaches?
track, because this is really going down a weird thing. Hey, Christopher, you had a question earlier, and I saw that you did, and we kind of sidestepped it. But do you still have your question for Hogtie? Because this is a weird dialogue that they're having, and I don't want to go down it. Mowdy?
That worked well.
Did Mowdy fall asleep?
Oh, he must be out or something.
Okay, well,
I was going to bring up when I was talking before I went robotic. our donations. We don't really receive cash donations for stuff. So far, everything that's been donated is things people already had, or maybe they bought themselves and donated to us. And also the members go out and buy stuff as well.
And by the way, I don't want you to think that I was dissing you at all. Again, I applaud what the organization tries to do. My only comment is that I think it's a sad state for society as a whole, as a human race, that we have to break it down into these small groups in order to do the right things. You know what I'm saying?
All we're doing is trying to do what we can with the resources we have, which ain't much. Yeah. Unlike some other organizations. Did somebody in the live? Yeah, somebody in the live chat just told somebody to stop swearing. Yeah, fuck off. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Seriously. I got my surrogate fucker right here. You know, heretic will surrogate. She will surrogate fuck for anybody. You don't want to curse? Just say heretic woman. Can you curse me? Watch, it works great. Who's here? Who's here? Hey, Heavy.
PayPal account, and everyone who swears has to donate £1 to my swear pal.
Heavy.
Fuck that.
Yeah, Heavy. Watch how this works. Say heretic woman. Can you say fuck for me? Why does nobody want to play?
$2 you owe me.
Anybody here besides me and heretic woman and rational? Hello, Matt, you here?
$2
I mean, Paul, you here?
What?
Paul, you here?
I just missed
Paul.
Yeah.
Say heretic woman. Oh, you can't. You don't want to say fuck. So let's pretend that you can't say fuck. Say heretic woman.
I'll say fuck on your.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is that we want to show we want to show how the working of a surrogate fucker works. So say heretic woman. Can you say the F word for me?
Heretic woman, can you say the F word for me?
Fucking right, I will.
There you go. See, that's how it works. So she's our surrogate fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not getting paid for it, but whatever. She's doing it. She's fucking for free.
I think what really got me hot on the collar was I'm talking about people doing something good, and then I get pissed for it.
Because Matt is Matt is just an annoying fuck. We all know that. Come on. Matt's been in the community for how many years? That's his one job is just to fuck with people, and it's sad that we still let him get to us. But that's what he does. He's just a fucker. That's all.
And Steve missed the point where I commended what the atheists are doing there. So I commended
I didn't miss that
the
point.
Atheists. Yes, you did. When I said basically it doesn't matter coming from what the source is, what people believe and don't believe. Those people need help, and it's good that they're getting help.
Yeah, what I jumped on you for is this weird. What I jumped on you for was this stupid accusation that you can't that somehow if I say I'm good without God, that's.
Well, why don't you set up a GDC debate between me and you?
Because I don't care enough about it. I don't care enough about it, to be honest with you.
You're fucking. You're an idiot on it. That's why.
I just don't care enough about it.
Something you're a fucking idiot on.
I know. Thank you, Matt. See, the high praise from you means nothing. Yeah. So, anyways, the other thing I want to talk about. Yeah, Matt, we don't care. We don't care. Do you understand that nobody here thinks? Nobody here cares. When you want to have an honest dialogue, that's fine. Kels, hang on. Kels, hang on. Matt, whenever you get into your obstructionist just mode like this, we're done.
I'm obstructionist.
So we're moving on. Hey, Bill, are you there? Bill, are you there?
I am here.
So what happened? So tell us the story. We heard a vicious rumor that you had been excommunicated or persona non grata from certain groups. Is that true?
The Creationism group, but probably for the 12th time.
What'd you do this time?
I've been active. I'm not sure, but I've been active in that group for probably 4 or 5 years. And I've been kicked out at least a dozen times, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, no worries. I get blocked all the time.
Ryan will just cool off after about a month, and yeah.
So have you given
off after about a month, and Brandy lets me back in. So.
I like Brandy. I like Brandy. I've been kicked out a couple times too, and Brandy lets me back in because she's like, "What the fuck happened, Steve? I don't know." Okay, whatever. Hey, let me ask.
Are you hearing me okay? By the way,
yeah.
Everything hearing me okay?
It's good.
So
better than it was before. But let me ask you.
I got all that volume issue worked out. So
your debate, sounds much better. Your debate's on the 13th. Did you take it into consideration?
It's actually moved to the 14th.
Oh, that's right. Yes, right. You did move it for the 14th on Friday.
Yeah.
Did you take into account what I've been telling you about these presentations and how that it won't show on his end, and that and people do these presentations.
Yeah,
and they don't do any good.
It's just going to look really stupid on his channel, I guess, because I mean, I would like to, with you or somebody, because I know that when I've done it on my channel and tested it, the visual presentation shows up, it moves along, there's no problem, it works really well. I want to make sure it does when you're hosting it and I'm online doing it. You know?
We can do a practice, but yeah, it'll be fine on my channel. Yeah, it'll show up in my video. It won't show up in his.
And he'll see it. He'll see it on his computer. It's just that on his channel, all we're going to see is Hovine sitting there listening to it, right?
Right.
Which is going to be really stupid looking on his channel. But you know, that doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, like I said, I can mention, and you can mention a couple times that, you know, if people want to see, if they want to see the full presentation, they need to go to your channel and watch it. So
and that's a good
now
point.
I rehearsed this a couple times, and you know, I think I have it down closer to about 20 minutes. It's just I'm not interested in sitting there and bantering back and forth the entire time with Hovind. I've got a presentation like he's done presentations. I will tell you, I did reconsider. I'm not going to hit him up front with his with objections to any of the stuff he typically presents, because I want him to go ahead and present those typical responses. You know,
well,
then we can hit those
a debate is two
afterwards,
people,
so.
though. You will have a communication with them because two people are talking. No, by the way, Marshall, I'm
Right.
not gay, but thank you very much. And if I was, it wouldn't matter because I'm not homophobic. I'm not an asshole like you. So just FYI. Marshall Mathers is the guy that wanted to pee on me for telling him he was a homophobic bigot. I'm not even lying. He said that's what he said. He said
makes sense.
He said if you were here, I'd pee on you. I don't get it. But yeah, he's a homophobic bigot. But no, I have no problem with people being gay. I just happen to not be gay. But if I was, so what? I'd be proud of it. I'd be like, yeah, I suck dick, whatever. So I have no problem with people being gay. But Bill, you know, so you will have a back and forth, but
right.
Can I haven't seen your presentation yet, but is it evolutionary based as far as like human evolution, or is it just like showing speciation? I mean,
yes.
Okay.
We did is we agreed to debate, is there evidence for human evolution? So basically, I'm starting with the Australopithecines and going forward from there to show that, yes, there's a change of at least genus here that we're talking about, which, of course, they're going to consider kind, presenting the fossil and some genetic evidence from basically Australopithecus africanus up to modern humans, with what we know in between, a lot of the most recent discoveries as far as genetic discoveries with genomes, as well as the fossil discoveries that probably Hovind isn't really aware of. So,
well, okay, let's play devil's advocate. We all know we all have talked to Hovind a few times. Let's play devil's advocate here. All of us will be Kent. And we'll just say, hey, Bill, you know, okay, Bill, that's a lot of big pictures, but, you know, you weren't there, and that's just your religion.
Yeah. Why don't you debate Hugh Ross on the same subject?
Hugh Ross is better than Hovind, but he still makes a lot of incorrect assumptions.
Why don't you debate him?
Hugh Ross. I mean, I haven't approached Hugh
Well,
Ross.
Hugh Ross isn't really a biologist. I would say go for Rana. Rana has a video out there that I watched recently that Rational Mind did an excellent job of taking apart. Rana made a lot of mistakes. Said a lot of things that were not true.
And Hugh Ross is a young Earth creationist, so. I mean,
Rana made
I'm
a lot
not
of mistakes.
anti-Christian, but I'm anti-young Earth creationist, so there's a big difference there.
Well, you're a pro. I mean, you accept evolution, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, does Hugh Ross?
Oh, I have a question.
Hugh Ross accepts evolution, I believe, but he makes a lot of incorrect statements when I've seen his videos where he talks about at the end of each epoch, you know, things just come up with no predecessors in the fossil record, things like that, and it's all incorrect.
Right?
So,
they don't. I like Ross and I like Rana a lot, but they do make a lot of errors that I can see. They don't understand transitional fossils very well, and they think that there's some kind of ensoulment at a certain somewhere down the line of evolution. Man all of a sudden became a souled creature, right? That doesn't really follow along what we see as far as biology. We actually see a lineage, although Rana keeps on saying, oh, well, you know, modern humans, we don't see where they came from. Well, yeah, actually we kind of do. It changes a little bit, but I think we've got a pretty good idea, right, Bill?
Yeah, well, to answer your question, what if he says it's a religion? What if he says this? What if he says he's not addressing the evidence? Is my response. He's absolutely not addressing the evidence.
And that's what you need to focus on. That's what you need to focus on. Is like, look, this is evidence. You need to, if you're doing creation science, you need to show scientifically why this is not correct. And the bullshit is, well, well, you weren't there, you didn't observe it. Well, no, we have to observe things in modern times. The observation we make is we find fossils today. That's the observation. Right. Fossils are empirical evidence. I mean, there's no question. I mean, we see them. You know, we see the progression, and I'm prepared to explain that too. So.
Yeah, but empirical evidence of what?
Of evolution.
Of evolution.
From one, what creationists would call kind to another.
From population divergence.
Creationists don't dispute. Creationists don't dispute the fact of evolution. Their dispute is with
the overall facts. Sure, they do. They think that we're limited to whatever kind walked off the ark.
Yeah.
No, the fact of evolution is microevolution, that things change over time in a population.
Right. And I'm going to show macroevolution.
Like, for example, common ancestry.
What I'm saying is they don't dispute microevolution, the fact of evolution. It's the theory of evolution used to explain that they dispute.
Right. They dispute macroevolution, which I'm going to explain
we can
how it
observe.
occurred.
We can actually observe macroevolution in real time. We've actually seen it happen before our very eyes.
So, Bill, can I pick your brain for an example? Like, are you thinking common ancestry of cats and dogs, or common ancestry amongst the great
Pithecus through Homo sapiens, you know, and all the steps in between, the family bush, if you want to call it that, you know, evolutionary offshoots, as well as the populations that existed that contributed to our genome. So I won't be talking about cats and dogs or anything like that. I mean, if he wants to bring up that kind of thing, then, you know, that again, I'll try to bring him back to the subject we're talking about.
Are you going to go first? Or do you want him to go first? Because, like I tell you right now, he wants his opponents to go first.
I would love to go first. She had, you know, she asked me if I wanted to go first. Rhonda did, and I said yes. So.
Okay. The reason why he wants people to go first is because that way, for when he goes next, you know, he goes right into his rebuttal. He doesn't have to do a presentation. That's
right.
So it means that he goes last, right?
Yeah.
If you go first, he goes last. That means the last voice that's heard is his voice.
Yeah, and I know that's never been a big deal to me.
That's why he wants to go first.
That's not why he wants to go first.
It's not really a big deal to me either.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a summary, which I've watched all his. I mean, I've literally spent. I mean, I've watched him for 20 years, but in the last 2 weeks, I've watched all his series, you know, his presentations, I've watched recent videos he's made in the last 2 years. He says the same thing almost every single time, and when he comes up, I expect that to be his rebuttal, and when he comes up with those things, I'm able to.
Okay. All right. Well, so that'll be interesting.
Good. Again, I don't want to explain it too much because he might listen in on this, or somebody might tell him.
But yeah. Debate with Hugh Ross? Have you seen his debate with Hugh Ross?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bill is probably going to chop your segment off of his channel, just FYI.
Well, that's the other reason he wants you to go first, because that way he can chop your segment off and he can just start if he wants to.
Well, I mean, I thought we agreed to not modify it, to post it unmodified. I'll have to look at that, but I think that was in the terms.
Well,
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Thomas.
There we go.
Hey, I have a question. It's kind of on topic.
Go nuts.
How does one species another?
I'm sorry, you broke up. What?
How does one species change to another?
Oh, that's okay. That's a great question. But before you answer that, Hogtie, will you try? You and Paul want to finish something? I don't mind. No, go ahead and finish. And then Paul's question is going to take a few. I won't forget it. It's actually a great question. But go ahead, Paul.
Well, Thomas's question, I think you mean about how one kind goes from the. I mean, I'll let you guys answer that one. I would say really quick. I think they're probably one species going to another. They don't go from one to another. It's about speciation, bifurcating, separating. You guys take care of that.
Oh yeah, we can do that. We can answer that question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I wanted to. This is going to kick us way off topic, so you'll cycle back to that. But I wanted to open and talk to him a little bit when he has a moment. But I think we'll maybe keep it just super short. We have lots of other people with lots of energy to talk about different things. But I wanted to mention, especially on Steve's channel, because I've been watching you've got this channel, Apologia, right? A YouTube channel, and you do mostly, as far as I can tell, like produced videos. So you actually go and get source material. Often it's Ken Ham. You to really like that fellow, and then you make videos generally between 10 and 15-20 minutes in length, so they're sort of manageable bite-sized videos using his source material and then your commentary on it. And I think that's kind of the way we used to do things, and that sort of thing isn't being done enough anymore. So I kind of hope more people heard of Paul's channel. You've heard us talk about it and thought, well, I was going to go subscribe at some point. You should do it. Your last ones have been really good. I will strive to get to my point here quickly. I think there is a lot of value pointing out the dishonesty amongst the young Earth creationist apologists and religious apologists. It's important to, number one, correct the facts, but then also show that that these facts aren't simple misunderstandings, but that there are dishonest sources out there. If you do one or the other, like just correct the facts, then people go, oh, well, everybody has a different opinion, whatever. Or if you just show how dishonest those people are, the reaction tends to be them because of their faith. So you really need to show both, and I think you do a really good job of that.
Thanks.
I should.
Yeah, well, see,
pause and let you respond.
Apologia has talent. That's why.
Yeah,
well,
he
actually has creativity and talent.
I mean, but for the audience, I mean, I am relatively recently was a young Earth creationist, so part of the reason I have to go to the format I do is because I have to go learn this stuff. I don't know this stuff like you guys do. I have to go, like, when I hear a claim, I literally have to go spend hours like, well, what is the deal? And looking at the sources and learning all this stuff because I'm coming out of it.
And see, Paul does do his research. He's actually asked people, and he'll go to people and say, hey, can I learn this about? That's why his videos are spot on, right? I mean, people can't go to his videos and go, oh, look at Paul, he's putting up this dipshit information. No, his information's sound because he validates it and verifies and asks people and reads. That's how you do research.
That's how some of the back in the day when produced videos was really the gold standard, and I kind of wish that there were more of that stuff. That's how a lot of the better channels. So for example, Potholer, if people wonder how his videos are that good, it's because that's what he does, is he seeks out he'll contact people that he thinks have some expertise in an area and make sure to really come to understand it. If that's what you're, I mean, I would like to, for whatever my help would be worth, if it comes up, like add my name to your Rolodex. I mean, I'm kind of a hassle because I always tell people, oh, I'll help out, or I don't mind talking to you about this, and then I disappear for days. So
well, absolutely. Yeah, no.
I hope you do. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I think there's a small lag between us. Go ahead.
That's all right. We're both in Alberta, so you know what can you do?
Yeah, Alberta. I was guessing from the accent further east.
No. Well, I was Saskatchewan is where I was born, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Paul,
I thought it was at the strip in the middle where nobody bothers learning French is where I thought you were.
Paul's getting a little collection of his own little experts.
So you're in Alberta now?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, we'll have to, without doing that on air, we'll have to touch base and see what, because I'm all over that place.
Sweet.
We need to meet up for coffee sometime. One of the things that I wanted to tell you about that, and we'll move on after this, I guess, but one of the things that's kind of been happening to me lately, JD Kane does it to me quite a bit. I'll be on TST and he'll ask me sort of a complicated question because there'll be something in the news about how Canada's gone completely insane and we've made something illegal. They're taking Bibles out of schools, or they're making it illegal to speak out against Islam, or they're making it mandatory that people respect the preferred pronouns, and you can go to jail if somebody wants to be called Z and you say he or she, then you could go to jail for it. And JD will go, oh, well, why don't you comment on that hog tie? And I just go, oh, okay. Quickly compose a short answer to that because his show is so fast paced, and I've wanted to host one where we actually talk about some of these issues because there's really no short answer to it. The problem I have with trying to explain Canadian law to Americans is it's a different context and a different history. We have some limitations to free speech that Americans would see as utterly foreign. The blasphemous libel law.
No, we don't. We just got rid of it.
I didn't see.
Yeah, but you know, if we ever implemented something like Canada has, I wouldn't be that much against it. I don't think it limits free speech the way Canada has implemented their policy. I don't.
Which policy is that?
Well, libel law, blasphemous libel. Like when you slander a particular religion, you can give your opinion, but you can't.
Just out of curiosity,
Based on-
who's actually read that bill that was supposed to have?
I have.
In regards to the gender respecting thing, Logic made a decent video in response to Armored Skeptic about that.
Wow, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think Logic actually put Skeptic in his place, which is kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect.
He just dick slapped him.
Yeah.
As far as the blast was, I had a lawyer friend explain to me that as it was written, it actually was virtually unenforceable. So there was.
Hogtie, we actually have somebody in the audience. Tom says he doesn't believe that you've ever given a short answer anywhere. Just FYI. So
this is as short as it gets.
Well, I'm still waiting for him to ask my question. So.
Well, all I'm doing, well, for one thing, I'm sort of doing this in front of an audience to encourage more people to go look at this material on your channel because it's really, really good.
Thanks.
But I mean, you had a law student on your channel. I forgot her name. I'm just going to call her Amy.
Yep.
I forgot her name. Oh, well, that works well.
Sure.
I would invite you guys, I mean, to come do a hangout on my channel, or I'm sure we could get Steve to host one. I mean, it's hard because people, like, when something crazy happens in Canada and it makes the news, everybody wants to ask us about it like we know what's going on. But then I sort of fear if we host a hangout about it, that people are going to see the title and be like, oh, a bunch of...
No, this is something you should host. This is right up your alley. This is something that you should be on your channel.
Yeah. Well, I would like to host one. I mean, the thing is, I mean, I know you kept Amy to a time limit because one of the clues was she mentioned, like, okay, if you try to explain Canadian law to people, one of the things when it comes to speech limitations, you have to explain what a saving provision is. And she mentioned 319 sub 3 as a saving provision. Then she only mentioned one of the 4 things that you can use to save yourself from the federal crime of hate speech. Didn't mention that I know it's like Heretic just mentioned the blasphemous libel law. I don't know why she's referring to it's unenforceable because of the saving provision in subsection 3.
Right.
And these are things that was like I felt like Amy wanted to talk about that, but she could do it only by mentioning it, and then you had to move on. I don't know if it's because of the way you pace your videos that you don't want to spend any time on it. If you
it definitely was partially that. You know, it's the driving pace that I kind of keep. Even PZ Myers, I edited out a lot of stuff just because. And then when I had RJ on, you know, of course he gave me an hour and a half material for my 20-minute show. So
that's RJ.
Well, yeah. Let's leave it at this.
And the interesting thing about her is that I used to teach her Bible studies.
Oh, really?
She's a closeted. She's coming out. She's still closeted, so it'll be like under the guise of like you don't get to use her last name and stuff. But
but she is definitely
no, I'm sure she's
leaving
about to do that.
Young Earth Creationism.
Yeah, she's
cool.
she's.
Did your videos have any effect on that?
Yeah, it did. She's one of my cases that of people that I'm bringing out of the maze.
Well, I mean, I don't want to stroke your ego too much, but I mean, I do think that, you know, in some ways, a lot of your videos might be like the foundational falsehood of creationism type of thing. I think that anybody's leaving Young Earth Creationists who watch
videos are very much
your
geared
videos
to the voice of the people who I might have listened to when I was still in that case, which is partially why I don't do cursing and partially why I don't do some of that stuff. It's more
I like the fact I like your style on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I do. I really do. I think that you need to stick with that.
I think you and Tony Reed are building the new the new foundational falsehoods series that people are going to look at.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why we need
But I
that
said it
style
first,
and a little
so-
less. I mean,
When it does happen.
Well, again, I keep buzzing.
Well, you know what Hogtie is? All he's doing is this entire hangout. He's just agreeing with me. He's just following my footsteps in my shadow.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paul G. I keep telling Paul G that he's going to eventually have a lot of fucking subscribers, and I don't think he thinks that he will. And I keep telling him he is going to be up there. He's going to be one of the greats. I have a feeling.
What's the name of his channel? Paulogia, like Apologia, but with P-A-U-L?
Yeah.
Yeah.
P-A-U-L-O-G-I-A.
Okay. Cool. I'll go sub right now.
Cool.
Okay, why don't we leave it this then? So you can either send me a message or I'll send you a message. But we should try to find a time to do this. If Amy's going to join us, I would like to speak with her privately. Don't answer this question on air right now, please. But if she has applied for or received professional membership with a professional association, we would need to talk about that before she goes to air. Don't tell me now whether or not she actually got her membership, but because that puts certain restrictions on her conduct and mine. But
that was partially, there was some restrictions on what she could say on my channel too. So, but we'll
oh really? You just answered the question. That kind of tips me off to what the answer is. Okay, and I don't know. I mean, if you want, like, if you think logic, I mean, we could always call up Logic and see if he wants to do it too, and see if he wants to talk about the gender identity.
Given that he did his 2-hour opus, maybe he's tired of it, but we'll check with him. We'll do an all Alberta hangout.
He's easy to talk into stuff. So. Yeah, neat. I just think it was a really good video, and I'm excited to talk about this stuff and whether or not other people in the world. I mean, I really like that we can show people that when you hear the fear mongers, the people panicking, they're lying to you, and we don't even have to support. Like, there are limitations to our free speech here. There are things I was not allowed to say on the Magic Sandwich Show, for potential of coming up against either the Individual Rights Protection Act or the blasphemous libel portion of the criminal code, and I'm frustrated by that. You don't have to agree with Canadian law to be able to point at somebody like Ken Ham, who sits there and says stuff like the Perdome sitting there saying that, oh, they'll put you in jail if you don't use the right pronouns. Like, those people are fucking crazy. Yeah. And I would love a chance to sit down and just discuss some of these issues, and amazing how willfully dishonest they can be.
That's her specialty is that area. So.
Well, there you go.
Cool.
I would listen. I obviously have nothing to add to that conversation, but I would definitely listen to it. Sure. You know, but I mean, all I know of the topic is from Logic and what Skeptic has said.
Okay, can I make one more quick observation?
I have an observation on the whole thing, though, which is this could explain something. We seem to have a number of Canadians in the room that seem to be very good at going through text. It's almost like they're doing exegesis on their own legal system.
We're very involved in it. We do. I mean, not everybody. I shouldn't say that. It's not like the whole country sitting around and helping, but we do tend to be. I mean, all of our laws, the case laws, everything's readily available, and we do try to be a little more careful about. There's something I hear quite a bit in the States that I just kind of go like, you guys don't have civics classes anymore. You must have dropped it, because you'll hear that the Congress, you hear the House of Representatives passed some bill. Start talking, did you hear about this new law? And they'll use the word bill and law interchangeably.
Yeah.
And I go, that's really weird. And then when we hear Americans talk about our process, it's the same basic structure to it, where we have sort of 3 levels, and then, you know, any one of them can draft a bill, but then it has to go through the others. We don't have the same veto process, but whatever. So let's go through the others, and we will refer to Bill, Bill C-16, 22. We'll refer to them as bills. We don't call them laws, and yet the Americans refer to it as a motion. In the House, remember the motion number? Motion 101.
103, I believe.
Motion 103. Yes. And so it was labeled M103. Everyone in Canada knew, fuck those people. They can sit there and talk about whatever they want. Pass all the M motions that you want. We don't really care. I mean, I didn't like M103, but the idea that M103 meant that I, as a citizen of the country, was not allowed to say this or that was absolutely ludicrous. And you just hear people talk about, So yeah, we do pay a little more attention. We're a little more careful with our language.
I think it sets a worrying precedent, but it doesn't have any teeth at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And just one more point, real quick here, and that is about the blasphemous libel law. It's still in the criminal code. I don't know, Heretic. You said that you. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say it was just like 2 or 3 weeks ago they just passed a bill to repeal it. It was part of the whole updating old laws and whatnot, and that was to go out.
Well, welcome to the great Canadian debate community, by the way, guys.
There are some unbelievable laws in British law that haven't been repealed, and it's funny. And you guys often.
I always told you Canadians were going to take us over, but you didn't listen to me.
Yeah. Well, if true, if they have repealed the 296 of the criminal code, then thank you, Heretic. You would have been yet another person to correct me on something on air, because I had just said a couple days ago the blasphemous libel law is still on the books. I was unaware of a repeal. If one, I'll look into it.
Yeah. Along with dueling.
I'm unclear whether the repeal has completely gone through, but it's definitely on its way.
It certainly hasn't. I'm looking at the most recent enactment of CCC on my screen right now, and there's always a date effective that it would go. So on most recent enactment, you would still read 296, and then below it, it would say repealed, and then with a motion number 3.
It's being voted on, and it is expected definitely to go through.
Well, just so people know. Yeah. Enforceable, just to make sure, as I want to point out the saving provision. Yes. When you said it's unenforceable, I think your lawyer friend was quite right about that, because it says that everyone who publishes a blasphemous libel is guilty of an indictable offense, and indictable here would mean like a felony to Americans, is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years. And then it's a question of fact whether or not any matter that is published is blasphemous libel, which means it has to be taken to trial for people to determine whether it was both blasphemous and it was libel. But then there's subsection 3 is the saving provision. So no person shall be convicted of an offense under this section for expressing in good faith and in decent language, or attempting to establish by argument used in good faith and conveyed in decent language an opinion on a religious subject. So it means, in spite of what the Americans will tell you, if you want to their belief that they're mistaken in their belief that Muhammad climbed onto a winged steed and flew off into the sky, you're free to say that, as long as you express it in decent language and it's a good faith belief on your part. So the idea that Canadians are somehow not allowed to say things that are critical of the Muslim faith, if you say, look, all Muslims are pedophiles, that statement, which I did not say, I'm saying it in quotation marks, I'm saying, for example, for illustrative purposes, if a person were to say, as I'm not saying right now, if a person were to say all Muslims are pedophiles, they would or be in jeopardy of being charged under 296 if it still exists.
Right, and see, if it is an American, I could say something like that. It would just make me an asshole for saying that, because it's not true. But there's no legal thing, you know.
But then, if the person says, I genuinely believe that, and that's my criticism of their religion, well, how do you know they don't?
Oh, okay. If you said it that way, if it's your good faith belief, arguably that could be saving. If it's your good faith belief and you said it in decent language.
Kind of a difficult if you said to prove, though, whether you really believe it or not, right? I mean, how do you prove
it? And you can't, and then what constitutes decent language?
Decent language, yeah.
Yeah, like nowadays, like, you know, okay, so I don't say fuck. You know, is that what the standard is? Like, I know people, like myself, I think the idea of profanity is ridiculous, and saying a quote profane word is a word. So to me, there is no such thing as bad speech.
Well, wrong country. Remember, you're in the country that outlaws depictions of. You're allowed to produce your own pornography. You're allowed to watch pornography. You're allowed to convey it around. But if there's any depiction of anal sex in it at all, that's illegal. It's lewd.
I did not know that.
Let me leave on this bizarre observation then about Canadian law.
I did not know that.
Yeah, if you look up anal sex in the criminal code, it's actually the presumption is that it's illegal, and it's legal only under certain circumstances, and that is if the other person is either over 18 or is married to you, has to be married to you, and is consenting. Okay, now that one I don't think is so weird. I think that's probably a good thing to have. It has to be between consenting adults or consenting married people, and so long as there is not a third person or recording equipment, no record of the event is made. So it's perfectly legal. It's perfectly legal in Canada to have anal sex. Perfectly legal in Canada to have group sex. It's perfectly legal in Canada to have group sex and record your group sex and distribute your videos of your group sex. But if you have anal sex, there better not be a third person in the room to watch it, and you cannot make any record of it happen. Because he's lewd.
You basically you seriously have to read a Canadian manual before you do anything in that country. Holy shit.
I have not actually broken that, but that's purely by accident.
There's no film in the camera when you whatever. Yeah, no, Canada has
Well,
we have a peculiar definition of lewd here. That
well,
we can
I also have always thought that our prostitution law was kind of weird. It's actually not illegal to engage in prostitution.
Not a bit. Never has been.
Or has been, but it's illegal to communicate for the purposes of prostitution.
Yep, yeah. If you're too specific in how you set up the deal, and it's a weird one. But yeah, it's not only. And I remember people saying, "Oh, they made prostitution legal in Canada."
Like, no, it's always
never got around to making it illegal. There was a period of time it was illegal to drink beer in my part of the country. They made beer illegal for a period of time, but prostitution was still legal.
Well, let us know if you plan to do a hangout like that, Hogday.
Will do. Thanks for your.
If you do get Logic though, I do want to meet him though. I like his videos, and he's kind of he's kind of reclusive.
He said something about you that I maybe it's best if you guys don't meet up.
What he just subscribed to me. He already hates me.
I know. I'm just.
What?
You. Because he subscribed to you, and you're like, "Hey, that's so awesome! You subscribed." And then True Empiricism had to make a thing about how Logic subscribed to True Empiricism
because he loves, because I'm sure Logic loves Ronnie.
Yeah, Logic is not as big of a consumer of YouTube.
No, I know.
I'm sure he followed Ronnie because he wants to watch all of his videos. Right
exactly.
I think everybody should go watch Ronnie's videos. I really do mean that. They're just epically entertaining, to say the least. Yeah.
A message to Ronnie: if you go to Canada, be careful.
Don't film your anal sex.
Yeah, Ronnie, don't film your anal sex. Hey, let me ask you this though: why hasn't G-Man responded to my last video? Nobody has said shit from the other side about my last video, and I think my last video was awesome.
You chicken.
Busted. Well, yeah, it's straight out.
He was straight up busted. I don't. There wasn't even any kind of. There's no ambivalence there, or excuse me, equivocation there. There's no nothing. There's no ambiguity. He's straight up busted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've just been awfully quiet about that, you know. But you never have the other side go, oh, okay, hey, look at Steve's video. Let's kind of analyze this. And G-Man, do you want to like defend yourself on it? Nope, they don't do any of that shit. You know, when we hear one of their videos, oh, hey, do you hear what hear what they said about Hogtie? Let's go make fun of that. You know, they don't even do that.
Maybe they think that if they pretend like it never happened, no one will notice.
But see, Heretic though, when they try to counter it, it just makes it more entertaining. Right? Because it's just adding to the dumb fuckery. Oh my god, it does.
Maybe they figured that out and they're just trying to deprive you.
Oh, they're trying to deprive me. That hurts. Ronnie tried to hurt my feelings. It was like, really, Ronnie? Really? Seriously? For fuck's sake, man. Steve's a middle-aged guy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Steve got mad on a video. Okay, these are your attacks against me? Like, seriously? Holy shit.
Okay, I gotta go.
Get the fuck out.
Keep your stick on the ice. Keep your stick on the ice.
Is that a hockey? That better be a hockey reference. There's nothing dirty.
It's red green.
I'm a shitty Canadian. I hate hockey.
So, anyways, let's get back to Thomas here. Thomas had a question on the table. Let's see here, Thomas. You had asked what causes speciation. There's a couple of different things.
Yeah. How does
in a nutshell,
I believe in evolution, but I don't understand. Like, how did we? Kind of an ignorant question, I guess.
No, it's not at all. No, it's not at all. There's different types of speciation, but in a nutshell, if you have a population, so you have a community of some kind of organism, whatever animal or something, one type of speciation is called allopatric speciation, and it's based upon geography. And what happens is you have a population that starts off at a certain geographical location, and then it kind of separates because of the boundary, like a mountain. Like you have one side, half of the population goes down one side, one half of the population goes on the other side. And because they have different dietary requirements, because of the different things they're eating on different sides of the mountains, the gene flow, and a bunch of other factors that factor in, when the species get to the point where they're no longer biologically reproductively isolated or reproductively viable with each other, they become isolated. That's when we call them a new species. And there's a thing called ring species, which is a type of allopatric, where we've actually seen the species will start off the tip of a mountain, or excuse me, like the north side of the mountain, go around the base of the mountain. By the south time they reached, that, then the populations were are already so diversified that they only had like limited hybridization, but they were new species. That's how speciation occurs.
And you get things like Madagascar, example of how that can happen, which drifted away when the continents broke up, and that's why you get all the lemurs in Madagascar. You get some lemur-like creatures, I think, in South America, but they're not the same species. They can't breed because they've now diversified. They've changed over time so much that there's too much difference. It's a bit like it's not really safe to sleep with your cousins and have kids, but once there's enough genetic drift between you, it then becomes safe. It also works for speciation as well.
Yeah,
the further you get away, the less similar you are.
It's based upon
lemurs are a great example of adaptive radiation, where one or two species originally populated Madagascar, but because there weren't other species taking up available niches
to be filled,
that exactly, the lemurs radiated out and filled those and became several different species.
Mm-hmm.
So do we know, or do scientists know, how we went from say Neanderthals to Homo sapiens?
Well, we didn't go from Neanderthals.
They were cousins, right?
Yeah, they were an offshoot, right? We actually diverged early on, but we did not evolve from Neanderthals.
What we believe is they diverged. Both species diverged from Homo bergensis, probably around 800,000 years ago. One went one direction, the other direction. We can see the evidence in the genome too, between Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo sapiens. We have the genomes of all those, using genetic markers, going back looking based on the rate of neutral mutations. That also matches what we see in the fossil evidence as far as the time period where they diverge. So, by about 400,000 years ago, Neanderthals were genetically isolated for the most part. There was a little gene flow here and there, but they were genetically isolated from Homo sapiens, from Homo heidelbergensis. Homo sapiens wasn't around yet. So, again, in my presentation, I'll be going through all that. We can see that happening today with baboons in Africa. It's amazing. We've got 5 different species of baboons in Africa. It shows the genetic evidence, because they've done genomes on all of them, shows that all baboons originated in southern Africa. They've radiated out into different parts and then become genetically isolated. The most successful baboon species is the olive baboon, which is actually a hybrid of 2 species. So that hybrid took off using advantageous traits from both species and has become the most successful. And that's kind of what happened with Homo sapiens too.
Hey, Bill, do you think that
Homo sapiens were, correct me if I'm wrong, they were actively interbreeding with the Neanderthals. Even
there's been crossbreeding,
history, like 20, 30,000 years, right?
There are genetic markers between certain Mediterranean, I think, areas, the strongest markers. Specifically.
Yeah, there was definitely crossbreeding.
There was definitely interbreeding, but we also don't see the male, Y chromosome passed down. Studies of mitochondrial DNA show that they weren't within the normal variation of humans, that we see of Homo sapiens. So, they were still, the reason we were still able to interbreed, but there were enough interbreeding episodes in the past, over the last 200,000 years, say, that we weren't completely genetically isolated. And it takes, for large mammals, at least 1 million years for that genetic isolation to happen.
Hey, Bill, do you think there's ever going to be something called like a planetary speciation? It'd obviously be a different type of allopatric, but if humans actually go to another planet and we have a population living on a completely different planet with different selective pressures, different ecological niches, they will eventually speciate such to the point where they can no longer interbreed with humans on Earth. That's just a given.
As long as there's no gene flow in between the populations, yeah. I mean, but it's going to take a long time.
Sure, but I mean you're going to have eventually humans
would have a huge effect on how fast that would actually happen.
But you're literally going to have eventually, if we ever do get to the stars, which I think we're kind of limited, but on different planets, the human race would speciate to different types of humans. Think about that.
But here's the thing, though. You're creating, we have the technology now to create our own environment, right? So if you're making an environment perfect for whatever the current state of Homo sapiens is, and you're creating that on other planets, you're not sort of being thrown into this other environment where your children never get a chance to reproduce because they're not. But
you still have a problem like gene flow is going to be different. You're still going to have different mutations.
You're going to have what's called the founder effect too, where
the founder effect
whatever that population is, that if we have a small population that's going to populate another planet, then they're going to have a lot of genetic traits in that aren't in the normal population wherever they came from. So it takes a longer time, especially in a controlled environment. I mean,
it'll take some time, but eventually it would happen, I think. Hogtie, you forget something? Did you forget your car keys?
If a Homo sapien bred with a Neanderthal, what would the offspring be?
Brett Keane.
You had that one prepared, Steve, didn't you?
Yeah, I was waiting for that one.
or Ken Ham. Have you looked at that man? He is a Neanderthal.
Well, all we can do is look at and compare their genomes to our genome today, and like I said, we know the Y chromosome wasn't passed down. It appears that possibly male Neanderthals weren't able to mate with female Homo sapiens, but vice versa, they could. There's just enough genetic differences there to where they may not have always produced viable offspring, or the offspring they produced probably couldn't have maybe bred with each other. They might have had to go back and mate with a male or a female Neanderthal in order to produce offspring. Some DNA was passed down, definitely, we know that, but we don't know exactly what the two would have produced in every instance, for sure.
Right. So wasn't it fair to say, because we had the bottlenecking around 70,000 years ago, that also would be another impactor on why there is actually certain concentrations that we see in sort of populations today, looking at population drift?
Could it be said that Homo sapiens kind of absorbed Neanderthals?
Yeah, to some extent, definitely, and Denisovans and anybody else that was out there, but Homo sapiens didn't leave Africa just once. I mean, they did leave Africa. We know more than one time. There was, events of us interbreeding with Neanderthals over 150,000 years at different times. They can tell that by looking at the genomes. It wasn't just one time, 35,000 or 40,000 years ago, right before they went extinct. In fact, I don't know that there is actually much evidence that they bred with them in the recent times. I think it goes back around 50,000 years that we really see it. So
well, that's why I'm interested in events like the Mount Toba eruptions, because I think that actually is a really kind of I like archaeology, that's my thing. But I think there's a really interesting sort of suppression point you get on the numbers of human beings on Earth.
I think, between 200,000 and 300,000 years ago, we had at least 7, depends on how you want to differentiate species, but we had 7 to 9 different isolated population of humans at the same time. All the way from to Neanderthals to Homo naledi to archaic Homo sapiens. It's amazing. And what we see is that genetically isolated populations like a Homo naledi probably couldn't breed with a Homo floresiensis, but where they came in contact with each other, there were hybrid zones. So, but we just don't, some species were genetically isolated and other ones weren't. But between Neanderthals and humans, we were right across the way. I mean, we found evidence now of archaic modern humans over 200,000 years ago in Morocco, and that's right across the water from Spain there, where we find the Neanderthals. So
would a Neanderthal Homo sapien offspring be a hybrid, or a Homo sapien
or a Neanderthal? I'm confused. Forgive my ignorance.
It'd be a hybrid.
I would say it would be a hybrid, but we don't know how many of them were viable. That could have reproduced.
They might have been. They might have been sterile.
Only been able to reproduce with Neanderthals, or they may have only been able to reproduce with Homo sapiens. But probably Homo sapiens, because we see it go down, carried down in the genome. But
the story of the Russian village of Zana or whatever that lady is. That there's some theorize that it was like a Neanderthal that had somehow lived in Siberia or something like that.
But there was never really a population of hybrids, right? I mean, anybody that would have been a hybrid would have just kind of been sucked into either the Neanderthals or the humans, or the Homo sapiens, right? I mean, there wasn't a population of Homo sapiens of hybrids because they probably weren't able to reproduce with each other, or as I think what Bill said, they probably were able to reproduce with Neanderthals and not Homo sapiens, or vice versa.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, yeah. The thing with Dana is, I think she had children, and then I think they even dug up one of her sons to test the DNA, and they just found that he was human.
Hey, Thomas, never hurts to ask questions. It's a good way to
learn.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
But I don't know if you guys are familiar with that whole legend of Zana thing.
No, actually.
Something on that. That was quite a while ago.
So, Hogtie, you returned again. Did you forget your car keys or what?
Yeah, there's two questions. I wanted to give a little different perspective on that answer. But one question was about keep your stick on the ice. It's when you're learning how to play hockey, your coach is constantly yelling at the kids, like, not to skate with your sticks up. You got to keep your stick on the ice so you're ready to receive a pass. So you constantly hear this yelled in coaches, like, keep your stick on the ice. And then, we had this character, Red Green, and that was his sort of, like, at the end of the show, he would always close the show. That was his way of saying goodbye. Was, okay, good night, everybody, and keep your stick on the ice. There's a little Canadian joke there. So just the question about how does one species turn into another. I don't want to skip over that too much because it's really, really helpful when you try to understand evolution over time and speciation, that you sort of shake from your mind the idea. So I'm looking for my screen share button here. You sort of shake from your mind the idea that or is it this one here, that things go from one thing to another. I really like to think about it as increasing specialization. So I'd like the cat-dog analogy here. So I'm screen sharing a picture of this myosis, sort of closely related to the ancient myosids. And if you look at the picture, I don't know if you would sort of deem that thing to be. And again, this is a drawing. It's kind of cartoonish, but it's based on multiple finds of skeletons. And if you look at what's that? Go ahead, Thomas.
It looks like a leopard.
It's a dog cat or cat dog.
It's got spots, which makes you think.
It looks like a dog, cat, weasel, ferret to me.
Dog, cat, weasel, ferret.
Dog, cat, we're going to go with dog, cat, weasel, ferret.
Yeah. That's not a bad answer, because the view here is this was a very non-specialized carnivore. It had all the basic things you needed to be carnivorous, right? It's 4 legs, it's fast, it's got the long, springy spine for quick launches. It's got the long tail to help navigate in quick turns. The long nose and the long jaws and presumably long teeth. But I mean, it's got kind of a cat body, but that's kind of a dog face. And the view here is that this ancient carnivore, and when I say carnivore, I don't mean it's a carnivorous animal because it eats meat. I mean, they're carnivorous insects, right? I mean, this is capital C carnivore. The name of the group is Carnivora. And they believe that it split into at least 2 different groups, the feliform carnivores and the caniform carnivores. And the caniform carnivores further split into, so the caniform carnivore would have been more like a dog-bear looking thing. And it split into, dogs and bears. When I say dogs, I would include wolves and foxes and what's the other, coyotes. Right? So you don't want to necessarily think of one species turning into another, but rather if this creature here represents an ancient species, a very generalized carnivore, you want to think about not it turning into cats or it turning into dogs, but rather it splitting into 2 groups, and within each group there being increasing specialization. So you picture that the offspring of this thing you know, like you would have had a generation of these things that would have split apart for whatever reason. Steve listed a couple of reasons how that happens, but over time, those generations, I mean, they would have been indistinguishable. And could they rejoin, they would have been able to breed. But if they stay apart for long enough, they start to form their own populations. One of them gets a little more cat-like, the other one a little more dog-like, and there may have been occasions for rebreeding, in which case they're separate species because they live separately, but they can still produce hybrids. But for the most part, the two populations are separate. And once they completely stop rebreeding, well, then they're definitely different species, and then they, you know, can further speciate, and that's why. So that's why, you know, whenever they say, well, show us proof of a dog giving birth to kittens, or, you know, something like that, I mean, that's just goofy. It just really helps to firm up in your mind that what we're talking about, not one kind turning into another, but an ancient generalized kind splitting into two groups.
Can you put that back up for a sec?
I sure could.
Yeah, if I can add to that real quick. By the way, there is one type of evolutionary process where a species does turn into another species called anagenesis, but it is rare, but it can happen. But what's really cool is if you go to timetree.org and you actually put in Felidae and canine into the little boxes there, right? It'll find you the time period for the last common ancestor, and the last common ancestor is about 55 million years ago. Okay, well, look at the time range, the time thing for that what is it, Macide? Is that how you pronounce it? I've been to that page.
This is Miocid.
Miocid, yeah, Miocid.
These are the Miocids.
Yeah, Miocid.
These guys.
So the Miocid is about 55 million years ago, and it's well in that branch. So when they say, okay, when we want to go out and we want to find something that's similar to cats and dogs and that was a common ancestor, where would we start to look? So 56 million years ago, right? Between 54 and 6 million years ago. So about 55 million years ago. Right.
Well, I just went to the thing, and I've only used this once before. I think, Steve, you were the one who told me about this. I just typed in dog and cat. Yeah. So it replaced dogs with Canis lupus familiaris, Felis catus. I think that some people are proposing there's a different name, Sylvestris or whatever, but whatever. So it changed it to those two things.
Yeah.
And median time, 56 million years ago, estimated time 54, anywhere from 52 to 57 million years ago is their confidence interval. And then do what with this chart? What does the chart mean?
Well, that's where you'd find it in the... in what layer, I believe. I haven't played with the chart that much. Though. But if you go back to the Miocids, right? Look at where that Miocid actually, what the date of that Miocid was, right? So when they say, okay, what if we were to find a common ancestor between cats and dogs, what time period we would look at? Okay, well, according to timetree.org, it should have been speciated about 55 million years ago. If it had these characteristics, it would look something like this. And we'd go find a fossil that had the characteristics we're looking for in the layer in the late Eocene time period, right? That's where we'd go look. Yeah. And that's why all these things work.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that the Miocids would have lived.
That's sort of where we would dig and how deep we'd have to dig if we were there.
Yeah, and if we find fossils that meet these characteristics, we go, okay, this is what we're looking for.
And it is based on fossils too. I know I've heard people, Veckel notably, will actually look at this picture and say, well, it's a cartoon, and you actually have to explain this isn't a cartoon that somebody envisioned. Well, gee, if I assume that dogs and cats had a common ancestor, it probably looked like this, and it probably had leopard spots. Like, I mean, come on, that's not how it's done. This is actually based on multiple finds. And what's interesting is when you look at the changing geographical distribution of canids, or of the the cats, right? You as these populations move around over time, like I just heard you guys talking about the geographical distribution of various human fossils. When you look at the geographical distribution, these things kind of line up. So when they didn't just make this Miocid creature out of nothing, right? They're saying if you go down further, you see a different geographical distribution of where all the caniform carnivores were. And as you go down further, different place on the planet, and they're less specialized. And you can do the same thing with the feliform carnivores. You see their geographical distribution. As you go back, you see they're less and less cat specialized. And then you end up to their ancient ancestor, which was a very sort of generalized carnivore. And it turns out it's the same place. Follow back the dog's history, you get back to this place where dogs, the ancient dog ancestors were, and you do the same thing with the cats, you get back to the same group of ancestors. So the idea that dogs and cats have common ancestry isn't something that's just made up to explain a view that would say they should have common ancestry. It's based on actual fossil finds as you go further and deeper, and then following this geographic distribution back to a common ancestor. It's not made up. It's actually based on fossils that they found that would have been the common ancestor for that. And what I'm going to say is I like explaining in terms of dogs and cats because it's not so religiously charged. But everything I just said about dogs and cats, the same thing can be done with the pan genus and the ancient humans that these guys were just telling you about moments ago when they were discussing the Neanderthals and other ancient humans.
Yeah, that's what's so cool that's what's so cool about the fossil record that we've been finding, is that if you take dogs and cats and you start going back, like for dogs you go to wolves and cats you go to whoever, but as you go back in time, you get to the basal form for those two groups, the more similar they are. And then you take that group and go back the ways that lineage, and cats or felids will start looking like the closer you get to the basal form or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and then not only just looking closer, but they actually are the same population. You find the bones and the fossils in exactly the same place. Yeah.
Yeah, you keep tracing it at geographical locations that you think. So if you look at different populations, you find one population looks like this, one population looks like this, and then you trace them back to the single population. You can find a common ancestor. You can find the transitional fossil to both of them. That's basal to both. I don't know why creationists have a hard time understanding that. To me, it just seems almost like an intuitive thing that two populations came from one.
What we also see though is a complete slam dunk when you then compare it to geology and plate tectonics, because we know roughly when the continents split apart. We know roughly when they drifted. And that supports, again, the isolation of certain species.
Well, there's a consilience of all of it, right? Every branch of science has a consilience toward every other branch. You have to have this huge, bigger picture, right? You can't have one branch of science that's giving so much different information than any other branch. But there's a relationship that they all have, giving this is the indications we find. We don't find anything saying to the contrary at all in any branch.
And Thomas, one tip I'd throw in here too is as you're learning this stuff and you're asking these kind of questions, here's a test question you can ask yourself. If I ask you, show me proof can give birth to a non-dog, or a dog population can turn into a non-dog population. If you see why that's a stupid question, then you're well on your way to totally getting this stuff.
That's a good litmus test, actually. That really is a good litmus test.
Show me proof that a mycid can give birth to a non-mycid. Show me proof that a dog can give birth to a non-dog.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that litmus test. If you understand why population of dogs will always have populations of dogs, only a specialized type of dog, just like we're a specialized type of mammal, we're a specialized type of a eukaryote. You don't lose your historical taxonomic level. It stays with the populations.
Your granny's always your granny.
I have a question about Old World and New World monkeys, and I've been meaning to look this up, but I keep forgetting. Okay, we've got monkeys or primates or whatever in South America, and then we got them in Africa. Okay, now they start in Africa, and how do they get to South America?
Well, they're also in China and Japan as well.
They come over a land bridge up there where Alaska is, or what? How did they get separate like that?
I think the New World monkeys are actually older. And that they had moved to Africa when they were still accessible. I mean, it was still. I mean, they're very ancient, fairly ancient. Does anybody know how the move was made? That's a good question.
How was it? Because there was fauna or whatever. All the continents had already split. I think during the time of the dinosaurs, before.
I think we have to invoke the creationists' floating mats of vegetation at that point.
There is an instance of a type of monkey that actually did float across something, and they said that was how it speciated, and it wasn't a creationist thing. It was actually I can't remember the name of the thing. I don't know if it was a Platyrrhini or Catarrhini. or Streptoshini. I always get those confused. I don't remember which is which. We're Catarrhini, right? I know that.
Yeah.
And then Haplorini.
I had to think about that. And I'm like, how the hell, since the continents had already split, do we have primates over here?
I think it's volcanoballistic theory, Heavy.
Oh, you know what's funny? He said that volcano-ballistic theory.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Wikipedia, always a good starting point. You can check the references if you want. Literally, in the origin of New World monkeys, so it mentions about 40 million years ago, the simiiforms infraorder split into the parvorders, the Platyhenes and the Catarrhines, which would be, so the Catarrhines would include the apes, all the old world monkeys. That's the African ones, which we are purported to be a member. The individuals whose descendants would become the Platyhenes are currently conjectured to have migrated to South America. So I've got it wrong. It's the other way around. They say that they were all African, but they would have migrated to South America either on a raft of vegetation or via a land bridge. So raft of vegetation is actually the purported thing mentioned.
That's what I was saying. That's my point. There was something that was non-creationist, that there was raft, there was some kind of vegetative rafts or something like that where these monkeys did cross. I remember reading that somewhere. It was probably Wikipedia, because I read Wikipedia too. But hey, by the way, just a while, yeah, I guess Matt, because he got shut down here because we don't put up with his bullshit. We like when he engages normally, but when he gets to be a contrarian little cock, bye. He went to MK's channel to go, do his little shtick over there. He gets off on this shit, though. I don't get it. He really gets off being a dick. I love that, though, Heavy.
Hey, Steve,
I love. Hey, one second. I love that, Heavy. By the way, if you piss off Matt Bell, you just made my day.
Yeah.
Seriously, he is a cock. When he's normal and he wants to have a decent conversation, he can. He really can. He's not a dumb guy. But when he goes out of his way just to be an asshole and a bell end, yeah, fuck him.
He could have made that point in almost any other way and any other time, and there would have actually been a good point therein. But he interrupted to make this point about how, well, you're just wrong about the good.
But it's a snide way of doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that his point was bad. It wasn't something that we couldn't talk about. But it's a snide.
Yeah. It was a little, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you one thing I really like, Heavy Hauler, was you asking that question, because I mean that shows like people are really paying attention, and this is not something you see on the creationist side of things, to look at their own theory and say, well, this part of it doesn't make sense to me. How is it that we say world monkeys and new world monkeys, so called, not because one's newer or older than the other, but because they're in what they called the old world, and then they discovered the new world would be the Americas. But so if we have that very obvious division amongst the monkeys, then how could that division have come about at a time when they claim that those things would have come about on Pangea and then separated? Because we're also told that separation happened long before the Yucatan collision. So that doesn't make sense to you, and you pipe up and say, does anybody know, like, is there an explanation for this? Because that part doesn't make sense to me.
Haven't you ever done that before? You say, okay, look, you read something and you're like, oh, this doesn't make much sense to me. No, this, I don't, it's just like sticking in your brain going, this, I don't get it. It can't be true. And you're thinking to yourself, did I just disprove the entire theory or something like that? But you realize, okay, you're probably wrong. You're probably wrong, but you don't know why you're wrong.
He's going to have his own wiki page for accidentally debunking all of that.
Accidentally debunking, I accidentally debunking evolutionary theory or gravitational theory. No, but no, I think it was gravity. Like the theory of gravity. I was like, okay, what am I overlooking here? What am I missing here? And then you're like, okay, you look in a little deeper, and finally it just kind of clicks with you, and you're like, because you don't want that unresolved conflict, you don't want that unresolvedness, because you're thinking, I know that I'm probably fucked up, obviously, but I don't think the creationists do that. They don't self-check themselves.
Well, I had thought about it a long time ago, but like I said, I kept forgetting about it. Then y'all was, like Bill and y'all was talking about, Neanderthals and this and that coming out of Africa, and then I remembered that, and I'm like, I've noticed over time, I'll have things like that where I'm like, wait a minute, what? And so I'll come in. Well, Thomas, like I said, a good way to learn is to ask questions. If something don't make sense, ask questions.
And Heavy,
I've done that. Oh, go ahead.
What wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going back here a ways. But wasn't like the find they had what's his name? Isaiah used to use as the icon, the Darwinian Massalis. that was basal to both Streptoshini and Haplorini, and that was like the transitional fossil that they were trying to find to bring those two different groups together. So when they say, oh, there's no transitional fossils, that was a transitional fossil that was clearly related to both of them.
Yeah, between Old World and New World monkeys.
Between well, I think it was wet nose and dry nose.
Okay. I will say one thing: it'd be damn funny if Charles Hapgood is actually right in the end.
Right about what?
That's how he believed in something called catastrophic crust slippage, where a crust could actually almost slip like a skin on an orange. And it was something that Einstein was really fascinated in back in the 1920s. In a way,
I think it's Walter Brown's hydro. I'm gonna do this on purpose. His hydroplane theory.
Oh yeah,
that's C. Brown's version of Walt Brown's version of the hydroplane theory.
Yeah, C. Brown's awesome. Actually, some
really
people had some trouble, some flat Earth trouble, or sorry, round Earth trouble has come up lately because somebody asked this question, maybe about a month ago. It really started going around the internet. Maybe you've seen it. So you're on the Earth. You know that the Earth rotates. So like it's basically is the leading edge, right? So if you're in the United States, New York State is kind of out at the front, and then the whole country is going in that direction as the Earth rotates. And the objects in the sky can be seen moving across the sky, apparently rising in the east and setting in the west. And the moon also goes around the Earth. If you were above the North Pole, the moon would be going around counterclockwise. So why is it whenever they show you the path of totality for an upcoming eclipse, which is coming up within about a month, by the way, folks, they always show the shadow moving across, the 21st, the shadow will move across the Earth and across the United States, starting at the west and moving to the east. And this is a question that's gone around the internet. It's broken everyone's brain. I'm sure some percentage of them are going to go just flat.
No, I can actually I can tell you why.
You can't tell me because I got to go. I will listen to this subsequently.
The Earth has a tilt to it. Well, no, wait.
Yes, but that's going to you know, the whole tilt thing, the tilt's getting going and everything. Like I heard Eve talk a while ago about how they use the tilt to explain why it was something about Polaris.
Oh,
they said,
look at there.
Polaris can be seen
it looks like Polaris
from below the equator. Tilt in to explain why Polaris can be seen from south of the equator. No, it's got nothing to do with it. Polaris is up whichever way the Earth is tilted, whichever way it's going around the sun. It's pointed at Polaris. The North Pole.
The axis is literally pointed at Polaris. The tilt is irrelevant. Polaris is North Star because of the tilt.
Later. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I gotta go. They're calling me.
I got it. The way because the moon does that is because the orbit or whatever of the moon is not exactly along the equator. It's tilted.
You know what is really I don't know. I didn't really hear the question, but you know what really disproves flat Earth though. I mean, you can go right, and I've done this. You can go to Stellarium. You can look of any major city or any city. Well, any major city. You can put locations in manually if you want to, with latitude, longitude. But let's say you pick a major city that's in the path of totality, and when the eclipse is supposed to happen, you can go to Stellarium, and you can go to that date, and you can actually see. There's an eclipse in Stellarium, and it gets dark. You can actually see stars. That is a predictive model, and and all a flat earther has to do is make a computer program that does the same predictive modeling. That's it. Good luck with that. Yeah, I got to go too. We are going to end this. Bill, I'll get a hold of you to do a kind of a little testing to test everything out prior to the 14th.
Yes. Please do. Just something that we won't publish.
no problem. Just being off air, obviously. We got a couple days.
Right.
Maybe on Monday. No, you know what? No, actually, let's see. What's the date today? Let's make it. Sunday. Yeah, let's make it.
Sunday,
let's make it on what's the day on the Tuesday? Let's make it to Tuesday or Wednesday. That'll be fine. But we'll figure it out. But we'll definitely do that. But
yeah, just send me a time.
I guess got a message from KC. I'll have to read that afterwards. Okay, guys. So this actually lasted a lot longer than I expected. I didn't think that we're going to actually have a turnout, but we did get like 70 people watching. Not bad. Not really, too enlightening hangout except for the end. That was obviously awesome. I like talking about educational stuff, and I think that we had a lot of great questions. Upcoming events. Bill is going to have his debate with Kent on the 14th, Friday. Is that the 14th? Let me bring my little calendar up.
Is that on your channel?
Yeah, it'll be on my channel.
Yeah.
And then King Crocodile.
Cool.
It's on the
Friday is the 14th.
Okay, it's 14th
if
Friday.
That's what you're wondering.
I think it's at. I think it's at noon or 1 o'clock. I have to look, but we'll know by then. Casey's is going to be on the 21st, so it's going to be the week after. And Apology.
That's Pacific time.
It's Pacific time. Yeah. Apology is making a trailer video to put on Casey's channel. We're looking at. And some other stuff. So anyways, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. By the way, if you guys do play Team Fortress 2, we'll be playing that tonight. Just message me. But yeah, maybe in a couple hours we're going to be getting a team together and go play TF2. So if you're interested, great. If not, good night.